JT Foxx.
I want you to save yourself for tomorrow. I don't want you to give an excuse that you were too tired because you gave me too much of an applause. Well, if you all looked at the schedule, I really had no intention of being here today. Normally, I am not on the bonus day. I will address that situation tomorrow, and so will Damien. So that way, everyone will be there. I'll say it one time, and then we'll move on. But so what I did is, late last night till 2 o'clock in the morning, I made a brand new presentation for you. And the thing about mega partnering is that it has to be fantastic. It has to be transformational. It has to be things you haven't heard. But what you don't know is all at the same time, I'm working on 8 mega partnering Africa deals, trying to work out the next year because everyone who I do business is in town and everybody wants answers now. And it makes it for very short nights of sleep. And it's very intensive, and Damien and I are on the phone every 3 or 4 minutes together trying to resolve, and a lot of things are getting resolved as we have here. As you know, there's half the people here. There's another, 600 people that are supposed to show. We're not sure where they're going to fit, but, coaching students first. So based on the little family first that we have, and it's exciting. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. You have no idea. The celebrities, I'll probably tell you on Monday all the things that happened that almost didn't happen. And the list is about 4 pages. From celebrities trying to back out to last-second drama to all these things to, the fact that we have 37 different countries coming. I mean, it's pretty exciting. I mean, it's truly exciting. I know some of you have come extremely far, and we appreciate that. And it's exciting. I mean, you'll see the energy. And so this morning I worked out with Chris, our opening ceremony. He's been bugging me for a month. We need to work on it, and I delayed it till this morning, of course. Now he's got to stay up till 4 a.m. to work on it. And he always says to me, no, we should shorten this idea. But his idea is we should shorten it because it means it's less work for him. So what I usually do is add more minutes. Every minute I add of an opening ceremony is an extra 5 hours of work for him. But it has to be spectacular. And so we have an amazing opening ceremony tomorrow that is going to be phenomenal. Today is kind of the bonus day, and then at 4, sort of people are going to start coming in, and you're going to have some of the top speakers come in and be more tactical. Today is more tactical, and tomorrow. So for those of you who are not wearing a JT Foxx tie, I would recommend you not show up tomorrow. I wouldn't get too comfortable in your seat. And this is a new JT Foxx tie, by the way. We just got the new collection, which is very exciting. And so for the first 5 people who run to the back right now, sorry, wrong seminar. That's exciting. I mean, the pressure, for those of you, if this is your first time, then you don't know what to expect. And today is nothing compared to what's going to happen over the next 4 days. I assure you, when I have Arnold and Donna Karen literally texting me every 10 minutes, do I need to do this? Do I need to do this? They're excited, and the whole world is watching. I remember last year, Mega Partnering, Greg Gass, one of the comedians, was on Howard Stern all the time and does comedy shows in front of 10,000, 15 people. And he said he was never nervous as he was at Mega Partnering. And for some reason, it's very intimidating for people because it is the best of the best of the best. And so everybody brings their A game. Everybody brings their best looking suit, and everybody brings their best looking pitch. And everyone's trying to meet. And the more people you meet, the higher likelihood of success. But also, too, it's not necessary. If you talk to someone and they can't help you, they may have met someone that could have helped you that you networked with, or that they may know someone in their network. So don't say that we're not in the same business, because it's always people that know other people that makes a very big difference. So it's extremely excited. I have to say, it's starting probably tomorrow when it all starts off. You'll all get very, very little sleep. I recommend that you don't push yourself tonight, because by the time of Monday, you'll be fried. But don't worry, my doctor will be bringing Superman shots for you on Monday and Sunday morning. And if we can do for those of you that the little shots and smack on the butt, we can do that live in front of the stage. We'll give you a discount. So that's exciting. I mean, the lineup is phenomenal. And then yesterday, I got just a random call. Someone heard about mega partnering, and they wanted me to go meet him. And I had to brave right in Hollywood. Some of you are on my Facebook. You may have seen what that's about. And, I had 15 minutes to close a deal, and which I successfully did. And you're all going to benefit from that. So this is what this has been, the last 12 to 48 hours. So, I had no intention of speaking today. But I figure I'd bring some of my best content here today for you, because at the end of the day, let's find out exactly why you are not earning your worth, and how can you earn more of your worth. And so we're going to talk about inside my brain. What goes through my brain? Anything that I say, and you will know that there isn't anything that doesn't come out of my mouth or that I do that is not strategic. Some people say, why would JT say that? That's all planned. There isn't anything you're going to see here at Mega Partnering that I have not thought at, had a dream, or just position yourself from every minute details. So,
who's the girl?
Pardon me?
Who's
The girl? Where's your tie, dude? You really? You want to do this here? This is the wrong event to do that. You understand this is going to be broadcast all around the world? So the last thing you all want is to look like a fool. Now, I'm a lot more restrained starting tomorrow. So, you know what I mean? Yes.
Saving it for you.
What are you saving the tie for 4 days?
Absolutely.
And please, try not to wear the same tie twice. I'm going to notice. So here's why you're not earning your worth. Number one, people are on information overload. It's something that I often hear, too much education, too much content. So we're going to address that. Here's the thing. There's no such thing as information overload. There's a lack of focus. And then people are getting a tsunami of emails. They're getting more and more and more emails. Then you're meeting all the wonderful people at Mega Partnering, and you're going to say to yourself, hey, I'm getting all these emails. How do I manage all of that? And people have fears of the market. Bad, good, market, bubble. Is it a good time to start? Is it not a good time to start? And then people have family obligations. And I have this obligation and that obligation. And one thing you'll learn is that life will always get in the way no matter what. Life will always get in the way. So you have to learn how to adapt and deal with it. There's a changing world. There's a new way of doing business. There's a new way of adapting. There's a new way of thinking. And finally, people have draining meetings. I've had a chance to do some market surveys, and I cannot understand how people have these long and long and long meetings, and there is no outcome. So we have to focus on the outcome. So basically what I'm going through is I'm going to go through everything that I do. What are my philosophies? What are the things that I do, that I think about, that I live by, that is a mere reflection of what's inside my brain. So as the world's #1 wealth coach, my job is to do this, is to make you work smarter, right? You have to be able to do less with more. And you have to train yourself. I never want to hear out of anyone in this room, including my office, my people, or anyone I know, that I just don't have enough time or I have too many things to do, right? And so we're going to get rid of that objection. You don't have enough, too much overwhelm. What you have is you're not doing enough of the right things. The right things, doing enough of the right things will get you more money. Doing the things that you should not be doing give you less money. Strive under pressure. There are people, they have trouble striving under pressure. They crack. They've got all this energy, all this pressure, and they crack. And so we have to make sure, how do we make sure that we don't make you crack? Number 3, minimize meetings. Less meetings. Less meetings, more strategic meetings. So one of the things I take is I take a lot less meetings. And I'm going to teach you that about why I can get so much done is because I minimize the amount of time that I have my meetings. All right? And every time you have a meeting, are you getting what you want each time? Because if you're having a meeting and you're not getting the desired result, all you did is you wasted time. And time is a commodity you can't get back. And then how to find a solution to any problems. It doesn't matter what it is. There is a solution for every single problem. So we have to focus on that. So those are the 5 things. That is my job, and that's what I'm going to cover here over the next couple hours with you. And then we're going to go over surges. We're going to go over also a new way of coaching. I'm having a lot of, I think, kind of like Nito with the same thing. For those of you who know Nito High Point University, wow is kind of expected. You kind of go to High Point, and then you're not as impressed anymore because you're like, well, this is what I've gone through. So what we want to do is we want to disrupt, and we'll talk about that a little later. And solving problems with ease. There isn't a problem that is not solvable for ease. If there's a complicated problem, it's because you made it complicated. You made it complicated. So those are the 6 things. Those are my job. So why do I make as much money that I make? Everybody always asks me that. How do I make that much money? To me, making money is just about the easiest thing I could do. Any business, anywhere, any meeting, any person I can monetize. Making money is so easy if you know what to do. I know exactly how not to make money. That I know. I work with a lot of people right now, and they say, what do you think? I said, if you want how not to make money, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to make money, I know exactly how to make money. I'll talk about that tomorrow, but since the last mega partnering, I kind of took a step back. And I let my coaches take over, thinking that maybe that somebody else's perspective would help my students succeed, because I may be becoming like the parent. You know, the person who says this, 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 and people like they don't understand, but I bring somebody in, and they'll be, well, why didn't you say so? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I told you like since day one. I'm like, but then they would listen to this other person. And I had a chance to track results. I had a chance to track success. And I took a step back and let people, and I focused on going all around the world, South Africa and China and all the things that I talked about the last mega partnering. And I did a phenomenal job there. What I was supposed to do, I did. I became chairman and chief global strategist. And so I focused on the international. And then I started looking at the results. And also taking a look at one of the fundamental concepts of success. It's what kind of ideas you come up with. And I wasn't very pleased with the results. But more importantly, people often think it doesn't mean that I have coaches that they're smarter than me. You understand? It doesn't mean that I have other coaches that they make more money than me. There's a reason why I'm the highest paid coach in the world. It's because of my ability to come up with ideas. And I'm going to tell you, and you can be the exact same thing. That's kind of my job and my theme of these next 4 days is I'm going to start getting you paid for the advice that you give people. And I can turn anybody into me. I've done it with many of my people, many of my coaches. It's not difficult at all. And so I'm going to be revealing probably 15 things. I force myself. I've always given as much as I can, but I never gave away everything, right? Including my coaches, how I make money and how I do certain things. Because I learned a long time ago, if you give too much, people are just going to take what you take and then copy it or misinterpret it or then use it against you. So my thought process, I've learned that a long time. You give, but you also keep close to the vest. And what I realized, that for those of you who went to the NITO IQ Mastermind, there's about 15 of those. That is actually the same one that I attend as a student. I made a surprise visit from Africa, and I took day 2 over, and we did a lot of hot seats, and I'll demonstrate that probably tomorrow. And I decided to take over. And I was able to solve people's problems in seconds. What people have been worrying a long time, because that's what my job is. And now I've been going back and working with a lot more students here in the United States and in Canada to help accelerate success, and I'm finding out a tremendous amount of value. You know, there's a reason why there's going to be 800 of the world's most successful people tomorrow is people coming from me, right? They're coming all over the world because of my ability to get people like yourself. You know, we turned down a lot of people. We could have 5,000 people here easily. But we were very strict on making sure they have quality people. That's why, for those of you who had some guests, we needed to qualify them, because we did not, people wanted to bring their employees. This is not an event of an employee. I don't know about you, but I don't think you want to be networking with any employees. Do you? Right? And some people say, well, they would benefit. Well, then they can go to another event. What is the student? So everything was geared towards this. So I, feeling a bit pressure on this mega partnering, despite everything that's happened, that I have to step up my game, and I have to be the very best this weekend, because everyone's going to be watching. Everybody. Just like they did in South Africa the first time I spoke there. Now everyone's watching because they say, what is the desired outcome? What is going to happen? So I've had to come up with the most amazing content I've ever had, the biggest guests, the best questions, the best relationships, and more importantly, offerings that are generally going to change people's life. But making money is very simply if you know exactly what to do and what not to do. Okay? And how did I become the highest paid coach in the world? Why does people pay me hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend a few hours with me? Because it's not about the quantity of time that you spend with something. It's For example, if you have a brain surgery and it says it's going to take you 5 hours, and after 3 hours, the doctor comes back and says, well, it only took 2 hours to do the surgery, do you go back to the doctor and say, well, do I get a discount because you didn't take the whole 5 hours? You wouldn't say that because it's life-changing. The ability of a great coach, in my opinion, is the ability to come up with ideas. Ideas that you would never have thought about. That's what a great coach does. And also, on a side note, I've had a chance to listen to about 100 coaching sessions. Now, has anybody ever heard one of my coaching sessions? Has anybody ever seen me ask about what was behind the story? When someone have a problem to me, they're like, well, let me explain to you the story. Has anybody ever heard me ask that question? Because the story is irrelevant. Your problem is the same as everybody else. So I've had a chance to listen to how some of your coaches and some of you talk about the problem, and all you want, it's like you want the coach to feel your pain. And at the end of the day, he gives you the exact same advice I would have given, except you just spent a whole 30 minutes talking about your problem and getting 5 minutes of advice rather than getting 30 minutes of advice and 2 minutes of talking. So we're going to change that. We're going to change that. We're going to disrupt that. Right? And the whole idea is for you to get more results, because the more ideas you get, the more it's going to advance your business. Right? The more it's going to advance, and then we need to pinpoint exactly what is wrong, because sometimes you think marketing is wrong, but really it's the mindset that's wrong. And how can you come up with clever marketing if you don't have the right mindset? Right? And how do I find these great deals below market value? So one of the things we came up is real estate was really down the last couple of years, which was actually the best time to buy, but nobody believed me. We kept buying, we kept doing deals. And everyone has asked me, we didn't teach real estate as much as we wanted to because there's plenty of gurus out there that teach real estate. But we realized that in the last 6 months, after buying all their courses, that they have the same course that they did 6 years ago, 5 years ago. Has the market changed? It did. So we've decided to create this summer a how to buy properties below market value tool. So how to create properties below market value. So if you live in Canada, how to do it in Canada. In your local market, across Canada or in the United States, and as an American, how to do it in your local market, international, and even across the United States, however to leave. So I'm going to be teaching that, but specifically, rather than sitting here and taking notes, it's going to be a deal-doing workshop, meaning that we're going to take names of people, and people together will work on the deal right there. Whether they get it or not, the best way sometimes is actually doing, as long as you have the right people holding your hand. Right? Rather than sit here and taking notes and for 2 days of a seminar, and then it goes back into this. So I'm going to be disrupting how things are done. So there's going to be more live calls and it's just going to be tons more interactive. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. How do I close more than most? We recently did a survey of any deals and opportunities, and I used to think I could close 8 out of 10, and I close now 9 out of 10 consistently. I have a 95% closing ratio. Doesn't matter what it is. You name me anyone, I don't care if they're a billionaire or they're just starting out. I can close just about anyone. Not because I'm a great salesman, it's because I know exactly what to say. If you had the exact same technology to exactly what to say, and one of the things I found out too is how you speak will determine how successful you're going to be. Many of you are having trouble communicating your point, your vision, and your business. It's time for change that. Every word that comes out of your mouth, people have to buy into. If what comes out, people don't buy into it and don't gravitate to it, then you don't have them. So it's something we'll be teaching you as well, and how I'm able to do business with everyone I meet. I can meet just about anyone and find out how I can do business, because my brain thinks about where's the synergy? How can we work together? If not them, who did they know? How can I benefit from this relationship? So I go into every meeting knowing that my time is precious, that I need to get things closed. Okay? So why does this all happen? It's because I am paid to think. I am paid to think, and that is your job as well. You have to start getting paid to think. Meaning this, the more ideas that you come up with, the more your business will advance. So you need to start thinking of yourselves as being paid to think of ideas on how to grow, expand, and monetize. Also, too, you have to be paid to come up with ideas that will move your business forward. So you're say, I came up with this idea. Am I moving my business forward? Am I moving my business forward? Everything you do from now on has to have one end goal. You have to ask yourself, is this relationship, does this seminar, does this person, does this relationship move my business up? doesn't change anything or brings me down. That's how you have to think. From here on now, for the next time until the next mega partnering, I only want you to look up and not look down anymore. Everything you do has to have an upward slope. Okay? So I'm going to give you 43 rules. That was not a joke. Did I miss something? I knew you'd laugh. Fine, I have 143. How's that? So rule number 1, stop doing routine tasks. From now on, no more routine. Get rid of the routine. If any of you ever picks up your dry cleaning, mows your lawn, shovels your snow, go do grocery shopping, do the mundane stuff, then you know what? You're never going to become successful. I can guarantee you the matter of time, whether it's Trump, whether it's Howard Schultz from Starbucks or anybody else, none of them do routine. I don't do anything that's routine. Nothing. I don't care what it is. Find someone for $10 an hour to do it. And I'm not converting to Rand. You're in America. You will convert to I'm so, and I always think, and by the way, for those of you wondering what the conversion Rand, if it's $100 US, it's 1,000 Rand. You just add a zero. But then you still got to deduct and think about it. So that's one of the things that you've had to do in South Africa. But the routine has to stop. It absolutely has to stop. Too many of you doing routine stuff, and then you're like, well, if I hire someone, it's going to cost me. It doesn't cost you. It's costing you. Routine doesn't make money. It doesn't even avoid from losing money. But it's a deal killer. I've been coaching people like, why are you doing this routine? Rule number 2, start off the day mind feeding. First thing, all of you, if you don't have the iPod, get the iPod. It's in the bookstore if you do. Many of you, the most amazing thing happened. I introduced the iPods in South Africa, which I thought I didn't want to do because it's expensive and the losses. We are going to start July 1st raising the price of the iPod to $1,000 per month per the CD. Don't worry, you all get the same price that you've had. And then the iPod's going to be $5,000 because it's got over 400 coaching sessions. So the first thing I do every single morning is listen to the iPod, and I did this morning. I went running, and I listened to my coaching session. And you know what I listened to this morning? My first discussion with Nito about mega partnering and what should I do, just so I can see how far I've gone back. So I start off mind feeding. You need to eat to survive. You need to feed your brain. If you don't condition yourself to start off your day with mind feed, you're not strengthening this. You're really not. First thing you need to do I don't care if it's 15 minutes, when you wake up, listen to something. Listen to something that one idea is going to change forever. I needed to come up with a name for something, and I was stuck. So yesterday, I drove to the bookstore, and I walked around, not in the business section. I walked into every other section other than the business sections to find a name that would be a game changer. And I'll tell you what that was probably sometime over the next 4 days, how I came up with it, and everybody's blown away by the name. I needed to put myself outside my environment. I didn't want to be in the business section. I needed to take something from some other section, apply it to there. I needed mind feed. Rule number 3, then you begin your day with strategic thinking. Every single morning, no excuses, no matter where you're in the world, strategic thinking is the gateway to innovation. So there's 2 types of thinking. Most people, 99% of the people, do horizontal thinking. What is that? Is that they go in and say, okay, I need to do a website. I need to work on my brand. I need to do more networking. I need to get more sales. I need to get more leads. They come up with all these ideas, right? That's what they're conditioned to do. Just a general picture, and all it does, it scratches the surface. What I do now is vertical thinking. So think about this, right? You have a drill, and say, today I'm going to come up with how to maximize my networking at Mega Partnering. And you take a piece of paper and you write down as many ideas as you can, and you keep drilling down, drilling down, drilling down, drilling down until you strike oil and you don't stop. Sometimes it could be the stupidest ideas, absolutely stupid, but there's one idea. And if you take a look at my ideas, it's always one idea that changes everything. That just the oil is then gushing, right? And when oil starts gushing, you know you got something, and the money soon follows. But you have to think about everything I knew. I need a breakthrough. If not, all you are is you're loosey-goosey, right? Now, you can think horizontal and vertical. And when you do both of them at the same time, it's called diagonal thinking. Diagonal thinking. So you go, here's where everything I need to do wide, and then you take each of the things and then you go vertical. That's diagonal thinking. But first start with vertical. So here's the exercise I'm going to want you to do. Take 15 to 30 minutes every day. First thing of the day, not late at night. Because this is when you want your brain to be sharp. This is where your brain's at its sharpest. I don't care if you're a night person. I don't care if you're the type of person that says, I come up with ideas at night. You do it first thing in the morning, and you say to yourself, did I strike oil today? That's what you're going to ask yourself for the next 6 months every day. Did what I worked on, and you just work on one aspect. Today, it may be your brand. Tomorrow morning, it may be your mega partnering networking strategy. It may need that, how do I get more leads to my website? Whatever it is, then at the end of the day, say, did I strike oil today? And by the way, if you strike oil every day, 30 days out of the month, you're going to be loaded. But if you only strike oil 3 times, you'll still be extremely wealthy. It takes one person, one deal, and one opportunity to change your life forever. That's all it is, one idea. One thing that changes the course of destiny. You know, it's amazing, but had I not gone to South Africa, right, all these wonderful people wouldn't be here for you to network with. But had I not gone to London, you remember I'm telling you how London was the worst thing in my life, I'm never going to go back and stuff like that. I said the worst experience. It was a complete nightmare, worst event I've ever attended, but I met one person there who a year later turned to be the person who invited me over to South Africa. So I went to the worst event of my life that turned into the best event of my life because it led me to South Africa and led me to build this massive brand. Now we have Mega Partnering Africa, and it's now got the whole world wanting to come to that. And there's just been the nicest people. But what's interesting too is that here I don't think there's an appreciation in America and Canada about my iPod, that the fact that I'm the only person in the world who actually records his coaching sessions and then makes it available, spends millions of dollars. But in South Africa, no one had ever heard that. They're still on like Tony Robbins' Power Within tapes, you know what I mean? They even got the cassettes, you know what I mean, to just put him in there. There's a lot of them too. And then so they listen to the iPod. And I get more testimonials every day about how the iPod has changed their life, like I've never seen before, because they've never heard any of this content, and then they apply it to your business. That's one thing that I've liked about Africa. I tell them to do one thing, one time, and then they do it. I don't get any excuses. I'll give you an example. In Canada and America is I have to check with my wife. I don't know. In South Africa is she won't be happy, but I'll sell her on it. It's the difference. I love it there. Rule number 4. Okay, we talked about this before, and no one seems to do it. Create a stop doing list. What do you need to stop doing? Make a list. I need to stop doing this so that I can grow my business. Stop doing it. Not stop talking about it, but stop doing it. Rule number 5. Create a to-be list and work backwards. So most people don't do this. Here's what I want to become. So make yourself a note. Here's what I want to become. Here's what I want to be. And then work backwards. So I want to be a top speaker. I want to be a coach. I want to be a top real estate investor. I want to be a top info marketer. And then say to yourself this: how do I achieve that result? Work backwards. So most people, what they do is they say, I want to be a top speaker, and then they kind of like, okay, so what do I do next? So you start with what you ultimately want to be. So, for example, let's use an example. If you want to be a scratch handicap golfer, what do you need to do? Play golf. Wow, you guys are smart. So first of all, you're going to have to get coaches, more than one. You're going to have to be a putting coach, a driving coach, a mind coach, a nutrition coach. You're going to have to work out every day, right? You're going to have to play every day. You're going to hit 1,000 balls. You're going to have to go play in tournaments so that you, right, because it's one thing to do that, but you're going to have to get, there's different being by yourself and then 20, 30 people watching you, right? You're going to have to learn how to deal with the pressure. You're going to learn how is it going to be on the road to deal with get adjusted to time zones and traveling and everything like that. And that's how you do it. And then you just go to work backwards. So whatever you want to be, work backwards. Tell me, ultimately, here's the person that I want to be. And then work backwards. That's what I do.
I work backwards. And then you rebuild, but at least in your mind, you've imagined what was it going to like to be, what you be, and you're more likely to believe that you're going to be that person because you put yourself there. Rule number 6, every 3 minutes of your life should be in increments. Anyone who takes a look, including here, every 30 minutes of my life is scheduled. And yours should too. If you have a job 9 to 5, 6 to 9, and then from 6 till you go to bed, every weekend should be scrutinized, should be in increments. Nito has it in 10 minutes. He calls them units. 1 unit is 5 minutes, 2 units is 10 minutes. I work in 30 minutes, now more 15, but 30 minutes should be everything planned out. You should know everything you're going to do. Now people say, what if things come up? There isn't any distraction other than family emergencies that should get in the way of that. So remember that. Every 30 minutes. Now, sometimes people say, I don't have time, I'm so busy, I can take that schedule, and then realize after the day that I haven't done anything. So you need to put yourself in that mindset. Rule number 7, always have meetings after 3 p.m. I do not do any meetings before 3 p.m. because most of the meetings are nothing more than a waste of time or a relationship builder or a stick thing. Meetings after 3, because that's when my brain is at its least peak. I have meetings at 3. I never have meetings before 3 o'clock. At face-to-face, never before 3. And if people can't make it, then I say, okay, well, let's schedule it when you can. Because meetings at 3 also to be less rushed than meetings before 3. Because before 3, they have the rest of the day to go on. At the 3, it's usually the end of the day. Just like yesterday, I had a meeting. They wanted to meet at 12. I knew that if we met at 12, that he'd have another 15 minutes. And I knew at the end of the day, he was done by 5. So I said, let's do a meeting at 3. He said, you know, you're my last person on my day. So you know what he did? He took me on a whole tour of the 20th Century Fox movie sets of every single movie, where it was being, you know, celebrities everywhere, talk, you know me. And I knew that if I went there, I was his last in the day, so they wouldn't be like, okay, wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up, right? Strategically. Keep phone calls less than 15 minutes. I have a policy. I'm not on the phone for more than 15 minutes for just about anything. In fact, I like to be 5-minute phone calls. Usually, for people that I know, what do you want? What do you need? That's all I want to know. What do you want? What do you need? What do you want? What do you need? Any calls that went over 15 minutes, you're wasting your time. Right? So keep them short. Rule number 9, get to the point. Too many people don't get to the point. What do you want? And if someone is going on, you know, what do you need? What do you want? What do you need? What do you want? What do you need? What do you want? Get to the point. The faster you get to the point, the more you can direct your negotiation, your argument, and everything you do just to that one point. Does that make sense? Rule number 10, stop talking about it and get it done. That is my first partner, Seth, used to tell me all the time, stop talking about it and get it done. Stop talking about it and get it done. Stop talking about it and get it done. Stop talking about it, get it done. This is the new theme for you over the next 6 months, 7 months. Let's stop talking about it. Let's start doing. More people spend more time talking about something than if they actually had done it, it would be done by now. We sometimes have in our office, we're arguing 30 minutes on whether we should do these things, and I'm like, we would have been done by now. Speed of implementation, you've heard me say this a million times. From the moment that you come up with an idea to the moment you implement it will determine how successful you're going to be. So I have a rule. If I come up with an idea, less than 30 minutes. Less than 1 day. If I don't implement this idea within a day, or text, email somebody, get it started, it's never going to get done. If I'm delaying it, I'm putting on a list to make sure that it gets done, but I implement fast. I come up with ideas, change. We need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. Okay? Rule number 12. Make decisions and implement them fast. Solving problems is directly relied on the region of the brain called the prefrontal cortex. The cortex covers the outside of the brain and sits behind the forehead. It's the last part of the brain to develop and only accounts for 4 to 5% of the brain. So I've been working with my doctor, Dr. Galley, to find out exactly about what is it about my brain that functions very well, right? And how do you ever see the movie Limitless? So I was going to say, without taking the drug and stuff like that, is there anything I could do that can enhance the sensories of my brain? So Dr. Galley's been talking to some of the world's top brain experts. I've been working with him, and I've been developing sensories in my brain that allow me to think more clear. that allow me to be more focused and to do what's going to work. So the prefrontal cortex, only 4 to 5 people use it, and at the end of the day, most of the great ideas, most of the great relationships, most of your greatest achievements have come because of a prefrontal cortex moment, and you don't even know it. That's why most people don't make it. 99% of the people really don't make it or don't really achieve the goals they set out to do because they don't use the prefrontal cortex. They don't understand the brain. So now that I've mastered a lot of the things I do, I'm doing reverse engineering. Okay, here's the why I am. Why am I this way? I don't like people say, oh, JT, you're this, you're that, it's easy for you. When I used to stutter 8 years ago, when I used to be broke 8 years ago, when my whole life people will never make it, where I had a 62 out of 100 in public speaking. In fact, I used to be a very bad coach because I didn't understand. I just gave people what I thought I wanted. So what did I do? What changed? So we're going to talk about what changed. We're going to understand how the brain works, because if you understand how your brain works, then you're going to use the parts of your brain that are going to give you the maximum impact and peak performance. Most people in that region, it's underdeveloped. So many of the things I'm going to be talking about over the next 4 days are going to develop this region for you. And it's going to give you a legitimate competitive edge over anyone you negotiate, anyone you do business, because you have parts of your brains that are going to turn on. Do you ever see people say, why won't you do that? It's common sense. That's because their part of the brain doesn't think it's common sense because they either haven't been exposed to it or they're missing that part of that brain. You laugh at 43 rules, but you don't laugh at that? The prefrontal cortex is the biological seat of your conscious interaction with the business world. It's your secret weapon. Right? Do you ever say to yourself, man, I never thought I could come up with this idea, or I didn't think it was good. I would say something like that, or I didn't know. That's because of your prefrontal cortex. That means something in your brain kicked in that like gave you some kind of image or receptor that lit up your brain. I never cared to study the brain, but people kept saying to me that somehow they thought I was supernatural and that I was born with this. I wanted to know, what did I develop? What did I have to work on? Now, many of the things I did were by accident, but that takes a lot longer. Now that I know what's what about the brain, so Dr. Galley is now saying, do this exercise, do this, do this, do this with your brain, do that. And I'm going to put you through some brain exercises, right? In fact, I can absolutely, as I go on, mush your brain and then push you even more, right? Because your brain hasn't had the capacity of where it needs to be. You are only working at a 5% capacity. It's like using a software system and only using 10% of it, which is what most people do. There's a whole side of your brain in here that you're not working on. You don't know. So how have I mastered and developed this part of the brain? Number one, confidence and competence is the number one reason, right? Confidence and competence. What is competence? So I am not the expert at everything, and I will never be the expert at everything, but I like to know a bit about everything. You don't want to be a speaker? Doesn't matter. You still learn how to speak, right? Because by learning how to speak and communicate, it will make you a better closer. If it makes you a better closer, you'll close more deals. It's not about platform, but it's about thinking. You may to yourself say, what would I learn from Starbucks? I'm not in the coffee business, but to create an experience. Zappos, Ritz-Carlton, any of those businesses. One of my greatest success has been, people ask me all the time, I take whatever everyone else is doing that's successful, and I kind of put it in one pot, and I make it my own. And that has worked very, very well. Conceptual thinking. And when I become competent of everything, the more I do something, it starts giving me confidence. Meaning that if you're waking up in the morning and you're not 100% confident on your ability to close the deal, or to close people, or to speak, or to negotiate, or to close a big deal, or to create a product, then what you're ultimately saying is this: I am not confident. And that doubt creates this. So it creates blockage. Because if you don't believe, then your brain doesn't believe. It's not a situation where I don't believe in myself, but my brain believes in myself, so we'll work it out. Doesn't work that way. So we need to surprise your brain, right? Because right now, many of you have been conditioned that failure is just part of it, or that you are not as successful as you should be, but you should. So you've conditioned yourself. So within the next 10 days, here's what I want you to do. I want you to do a 20-hour day. Business only. 20 hours in one day. I want you to be tired. I want you to be exhausted. And I'm not talking about you did your job and then you worked. I'm talking about an actual 20-day where all you did is you worked on your business. Ideas, strategic thinking, calls, push, marketing, branding. I want you to give me 20 hours. And then I only want you to sleep 6 hours. Give me a 20-hour day. You think right now that you can't do it, and I used to think so too. But I did 22 hours yesterday. And this morning I put my timer that I would only get 4 hours of sleep because I wanted to put myself in a zone. Because I know I'm conditioning my brain to be stretched, to be tired, to be pushed over the next 4 days like it's never been pushed because I have something to prove, I feel. Prove to myself, prove to you, prove to the world that I am the very best at what I do. And no one is going to take that title from me. Nobody. Not here, not outside, not anywhere in the world. So. And that's how it does. And that, to me, I need to push myself outside that comfort level. I had lost passion since the last mega partnering because I felt that, okay, so we did a great mega partnering. Everything I do is successful. I'm not having a lot of fun as much as I do. So let me go somewhere in the world where they don't know me and then trying to build there. And then I kind of enjoyed that. I kind of enjoyed not being known and just starting something from scratch and done it very easily. But the reason I'm going to other countries, I'm doing exactly what works. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm taking all my mistakes and doing exactly what works, and it's been great. You know, a lot of times I've gone to overseas, and I haven't been jet lagged except for last time. Dr. Debbie, is she there? Dr. Galley wants to meet you, so remind me, because I told him how there. She's one of the top acupuncturists in South Africa, and she treated me, and I got so dizzy. And Ryan and I landed, and we couldn't sleep. For some reason, we'd go to bed at 10:30. We'd wake up at 1, and that lasted for 2 days. And I started getting dizzy, and I couldn't get up. And I was like speaking like this, right? And they gave me some crack, and it worked out really good. I remember Dr. Galley texting me, and he got rid of his iPhone, so I can't do iMessages. And I'm like, Doc, they want me to take this. And he goes, well, what is it? And then I realized that it just cost me $1 to text. So I stopped responding, and he kept texting and texting. And I wanted to just do one long answer, but Dr. Galley likes to ask, so it makes sense to him. I don't know what it is, but listen, it would have been a $10 conversation. So I decided to just take the pills and take my chances, and it worked out really good. But stretch your brain. Push yourself, because if you don't think you can do it and you push yourself and you do it, you'll be like, whoa, I did it. It worked. Right? Condition yourself consciously and unconsciously in believing yourself. So don't just say, believe in myself. Actually believe. And the best way to unconsciously believe in yourself is one simple thing. Write this down. Act like you belong. Act as if you are worth $5 million. From now on, the only way you can become what you think is by acting that way when you do make it. Number 3, think about something until it hurts and push it through. There are things sometimes where my brain is hurting. Last night, it's like 1:30 in the morning. I'm trying to finish my slides, and I'm coming up with ideas, and every idea has to be brilliant. And I'm pushing myself, and I'm pushing my brain, and it hurts. It hurt my brain, but I push myself, and I push myself because my brain said, I'm too tired. My body says I'm too tired, but you know what? My gut says I have to push. I have to come up with the best content. I have to do this. I'm not doing this tomorrow. I'm not pushing it tomorrow. I got things planned tomorrow. I push myself. And failure is nothing more than an optical illusion. It's something that our parents, the media, our friends below us, they've sort of said, this is what failure is. It's an optical illusion. The only way we fail is because we allowed ourselves to fail. I don't care at anybody else. To be completely honest with you, I couldn't care less whether people came to Mega Partnering or not. And I had someone on Facebook yesterday say, I'll catch the next Mega Partnering. And I responded very bluntly. I said, I never delay success. So what this person says, well, I'm going to wait till the next Mega Partnering, over my dead body. You didn't come on this one, you're going to have to beg to come to the next one because I don't need to. Why reward people that delayed, made excuses? Someone said to me, I can't go, I have another event. Were you crazy? Well, I ain't paid for it. Unsuccessful people always make excuses. They're conditioned that. Why they can't do this, why they can't do this. It's an optical illusion. And you know what? People like failure. You know why? Because it makes them believe that, well, at least there's something where I belong. Puts them in a category. The less excuses you have, the more successful you're going to be. It's a new quote that I've been saying. It's catching on like wildfire. The less excuses you have, the more successful you're going to be. Broke people have a lot of excuses. Unsuccessful people have excuses. Successful people always find a way to make it happen. I don't have any excuses. I don't like any excuses. I will never give excuses. I don't like excuses. There's always a way. I don't like hearing the word no. I will never take no for an answer. But we got to eliminate the excuses. Eliminate also the word like this word, yeah, but. When people say yeah, but, they have an excuse. Yeah, but, I can't. Yeah, but. Eliminate that word. Rule number 14, simplify everything. What does that mean? Simplify the words you use. John Emerson, where are you? I use that thing all over the world when I talk about you. Stand up. So John has known me for about 4 years, and he's from Canada, lived in Chicago, very intelligent. You could sit down there. It's too much branding for you. And John is one of the smartest guys I know. And when I first met him, he wanted to do very big multi-units. And I talked to him. And he's the type of dude that just keeps talking, that he wants people to know he's smart. So he'll talk way over your head. And half the time, I didn't understand a word of what he said, but I just nodded because it was all irrelevant. And when he would talk to partners, he would be complicated. When he talked about his deals, they would be complicated. And I used to say, John, talk to him like you're talking to Homer Simpson. Simplify it, because a confused mind or a complex mind doesn't buy. Why would I invest in a deal that I don't understand? And that was his problem. And him and I fought over it. In fact, I think we had a fallout because of it, because he was just like, well, I know what I'm, and then one day he came up to me and he goes, I just did 5 deals. And I said, what did you do? I kept it simple. Thank you. Yes, I know. You're like that child who just didn't listen to me. But now he does all these things, and I use that example because he is a very smart guy, and I partly wanted to show everybody he's smart. But by showing everybody he's smart, A, he made other people look bad, perhaps, by showing he was smart. And number 2, he made it so complicated that he was talking about different types of level of cost segregations and all types of financing. I had no idea what the hell he was talking about. In fact, I didn't even know what he was talking about. All I knew is that was all irrelevant. So it scared people away, right? Because no one's going to admit, say, you know what? I don't understand what you're saying. Do you mind repeating it in English? Right? Or do you mind? Because then it looks bad. Right? And so nobody wants to look bad, so they rather not do the deal rather than admit that they didn't understand. But if you keep it simple, so here's a little secret I think you're going to learn and you're going to enjoy this. Here's one thing that I do. Okay? If you can't draw it on a napkin, it's not simple. In fact, all of you should probably use that napkin theory, because many of the successful people all have the same little story. Many of them. I took a napkin and I drew it for this person, and that's how I did it. So practice on a napkin doing your business model. And you're going to see, and by the way, you know what? And then you take the napkin and then you give it to them, and you say, one day, when this makes you a lot of money, you'll remember that it came on this napkin. Don't go away. And people will never get rid of that napkin because they think they got Eureka. Rather than, hey, I got this 50-page proposal. Man, our office has killed more trees because of people sending me stuff. I mean, it's like, and I've never read it. I don't even read past three lines of any emails. You can ask Linda LeBlanc, right? She sends me emails, and they're like, Dear JT, and she used to have like about how nice I am, and then the last part would be what she wants. Now she's very smart. She does, here's what I need in 3 lines, and then there's a whole story hoping that I read it. I still don't read it. I just read the 3 lines, but I do read it, right? Or I sent it to somebody else and said, please translate this to me in 3 lines. And so they read it, translate 3 lines, and send it over to me, and they goes, it's the same thing as the first 3 lines. Right? That you think that if you over-explain things, that somehow people says, oh, I get it now. If I have more questions, I will ask more questions. That makes sense? So also the presentations you make it the proposals you make. So you're better off giving a 1-page proposal, and if they ask more information, then give them more data. Never give anyone more than a one-page proposal. I'm going to be announcing my new 9-figure coach sometime this weekend, and is going to make anybody else in the past look really bad. And very simply, as he said, send me a one-page. That's all I said. In fact, he said, send me 2 paragraphs. That's all he wanted. I said, I can give you everything I've done. He goes, I won't read it. I'm like, I know. That's just a test. Because I wanted to know successful people. So what he did is, very simply, that's what he did. He gave him 2 paragraphs. He said, done. Just wanted simplicity. And then if I says, you know what, can we get more details? Then you work on the details. But then you know if they want more details, now it means that you're now working towards an agreement rather than them saying yes or no right there. Okay? The sales process. Too many people make the sales process. If you're closing a real estate deal, if you're closing, buying, and selling a business, or you're closing an info product, chances are your sales process is too complicated. Think Amazon. Think one-click upsell. The simpler you make the sales process, the other. And then your marketing funnels. Tomorrow I'm going to launch to you my marketing funnels. They're very easy, and you'll have a good idea of it, but it's all about simplicity of your marketing funnels. So a confused mind doesn't buy. The greatest trait of a millionaire is to simplify a complicated ideal or deal. So here's the exercise I often do. I take a very complicated deal or a very complicated idea, and I say to myself, can I break this down on a piece of napkin? So I actually practice doing that. I practice my brain at simplifying things because most people don't understand complicated things. And those who talk complicated and those who talk above people's heads are usually not the ones who make the most amount of money. So practice on simplifying. And then say, if you need more detail, I can break it down for you further. That way, now you're initiating a conversation. Rule number 15, pay attention to the details and have situational awareness. Where do you find yourself? Where are the details? What is the market situation? Situational awareness is not a derivative of book smart. It is 100% derivative of street smarts. Okay? Where am I? What event? What do I do? How do I network? How do I position myself? Situational awareness is things that pop up on a daily basis, and it's your environment that you're in. Okay? The details do matter on everything. So you want to stretch your brain. So let's start to stretch your brain and pay attention to details. So I'm going to want you to memorize these 10 digits in 10 seconds. And all of you are going to participate because I'm going to randomly pick out of the audience. You have 10 seconds to memorize these 10 digits, however your brain works. People have different types of memorization. And I'm even nice. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. Okay? And you cannot, okay, yeah, we'll do that. And then if you write it down, the minute I say stop, you need to take your piece of paper and turn it. Let me put the clock on for you. Are you ready? So let's see who are the geniuses. Okay? 5, 9, 8. No, I'm not giving numbers. I'm just throwing some numbers out there. 5, 7, 9. No, I'm not right. This is not the numbers. I'm just saying numbers. 5, 7, 4, 8, 5, 9, 4, 3, 7, 5, 1, 9, 8, 2, 1, 7, 3, 7, 4, 2, 9, 8, 3, 4. Start now. Time. Okay? Now, okay, I want you to turn over that document. You can't keep memorizing it. That's when it's over. So now you get to tell me because you cheated. Go ahead.
283501
Something, I don't know. You're the one who memorized it. I didn't memorize it. I just came up with it to make you uncomfortable.
It was the last 4 of 1301.
Okay? All right. So I want you to take a separate piece of paper and do not stare at that number and write down that number right now. And then, okay, Joy. Well, that's why I'm here. All right? Share with the person behind you in a small group right? And if someone has the right answer, if you got the right answer, there's no cheating on the numbers, right? You guys are useless. All right, raise your hand if you personally were able to correctly remember the number. Okay, stop. Stop. All you have to do is double check, not practice. Shh. Raise your hand if you are able to correctly memorize it. Oh my whatever. Okay? Why weren't you, for those of you who are not, who did not do it, why weren't you able not to do it? You think. You gave up? Not enough time? You don't like memorizing? You're a right brain. The left brains are loving this exercise. They're like, yeah, numbers, love it. You can tell with the right brain, right? Because the right brain, this is what a left brain, right? They're like, yeah, right? The right brain looks like this. They're like a giraffe. And then they're trying to look for somebody else as a giraffe, and they're like, So what if I showed you a better way, a technique to memorize it? Would you get to your path of least resistance quicker? Yes. Okay, so let me show you. Do the same, but divide them into 4. Do the same, but divide these numbers into 4. Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Turn to the person behind you and tell them exactly what you just learned. All right, shh. How many people got it correct this time? Raise your hand. Do you see that? We actually got 60% more people. Why? Because we made it easy. Rather than memorizing these things, right, we just broke it up. Right? So we took something that seemed to be, this looks complicated, right? This looks easy. You see the difference? So remember I said part of success is to take whatever you're doing and taking the complicated out and finding a way, how do I make this easier? How to make this simpler? Anything that is complex, if you do it more than 5 times, it'll eventually become routine. At first, what we do is complicated, but if you do it 5 times, and I gave you this exercise 5 times, we'd eventually get at least 90% of the people able to memorize it. So that's what you have to do. You have to keep doing it. Sure, you messed up and you didn't get it the first time, but you keep doing, your brain starts adapting, and eventually you just get it. You just get it. Right? So complex into routine. Anything that is difficult is routine if you do it more than 5 times, because then you've already done it. Close 5 deals. Write 5 books. Make 5 offers. After a while, it's just the same thing. Rule number 16, every meeting, every relationship, every network opportunity, every potential deal must have an outcome. From here on out, you are outcome-based entrepreneurs. Write that down. Outcome-based entrepreneurs. There needs to be a result to what you're doing. If not, it's bullshit. It's waste of time. We don't have time to waste. Time is a commodity we can't get back. We are now outcome-based. I want to have a meeting with you. What's going to be the outcome? That's when I go into it. We're talking, how can we do business? At Mega Partnering, stretch yourself. Think of ways. What is the outcome? What are the action steps? What can we do together? We have an outcome. We have a purpose that are advancing our business. We do not waste time talking for the sake of talking. We do things for the sake of outcome and growing. So, how is outcome based? What is the overall goal of X of what I'm doing? What am I trying to do? First of all, if you're having a meeting with someone, there has to be an outcome. Nobody sits into a meeting and say, well, we'll figure it out. No, there must be an overall outcome. What is the desired outcome of this meeting? What do we want to get out of this meeting? For those of you who are going to have meetings throughout, you got to say, hey, what is the desired outcome of this meeting? Is it to work together? Is it to finance? Is it to send me deals? Will there be a yes or no, or are you saving it for later? You need to go in with a strategy. Do I want a yes or no to my decision now, or am I saving that for later? That's strategy. Okay? What is the main driver to do the deal in partnership? Right? What is the outcome of what we're trying to do? What is this deal or this partnership going to do? There's a lot of people who talk about doing things together, but it's not outcome-based. What is the main argument against doing the deal or the relationship? When I sit down with someone, I also take a look at it. What is the con of me doing business with this person? Or getting involved with this person? And sometimes there are more benefits than the con, but the con can actually end up taking all the positives out. So these 5 things, any meeting you do, you better have those in mind. I have those. You just got inside my brain. Right? Someone wanted a meeting with me. I told Damien, what's the goal? What's the purpose of the meeting? What's the outcome? What's this going to do? What's the main argument? And what is one reason why we wouldn't do deals with this person? Very simple. So when I come in, my people, if they want me into a meeting, this could all be worked out. That's how you think. Rule number 17, garbage in, garbage stays, according to Nito. And then Nito says, and it gets pregnant. I couldn't find a pregnant picture of garbage. I tried. There was no work art. Even if it's not on Google, you know this much. But that's what Nito says. If you put negative things out, it doesn't come out. It stays. It festers. It grows like a cancer. Negative people are cancer. If someone you're doing business doesn't respect your wishes, and then you're like, well, you know, I've got this benefit and all. Because here's what happens. You're in a meeting and you're like, well, why would I do this? Right? I want this, and they're not willing to listen to me, or they're changing the terms of the business, and then all of a sudden, Chuck, good job. You broke the machine. Please bill him. He's got money. No, I know for a fact. He's my lawyer. Chuck, do you have jurisdiction to practice law here? Because they're... Good job, Chuck. This whole class is disrupted because of you. Can we... Hold on. Let's get... Here we go. This is what, there you go, Chuck. You're famous now. Congratulations. You know, you're kind of turning red. Right. You live in Chicago. There's no such thing as... It's a breaker? Who can we sue now? Tell them we want the whole cost refunded. This was the most important slide. Okay, next point. We can go without writing. Get rid of the water in your boat before it sinks you. So what is pulling your boat sinking? And then once you get the water out, you know what you figure out? That there's holes in your boat. So number 1, plug holes. Number 2, get rid of the water. Get rid of the water that's sinking you. So right now, think of this in your life. What's sinking your boat? Is it the people that you're around? Is it the type of business that you have? Is it your job? Is it your family situation? What is sinking your boat rather than making it go fast? We got one of them going. Cool. So your memory starts to weaken the more things you do. The more things you hold in your brain to do's. So your memory will weaken the more things you have in your brain.
Okay? Cool. Thank you. Give the AV people a round of applause for making this work. Rule number 2 with AV people, wait till 2 days before the event, then negotiate. They've already committed, so they have no choice. We realized we didn't have a contract, and so I said to Damien, let's negotiate. It's 2 days before. But that could also backfire. Yeah. But he liked me, so I had the confidence. So a lot of people have stuff to do, too many things to do. There's no such thing as too many things to do. So never do more than 5 main ideas. That's your tops. 5 main ideas. 5, there's a lot of smaller stuff, that's okay, but 5 main ideas. So if you say, I need to do a book, and I need to start this business, and I take a look at this business, I'm going to look at this business, and I'm going to look at these deals, anything more than 5, you are weakening your brain. It's like putting snow, when it snows, a lot of snow on a roof, right? And it's about to buckle, or there's too much water, there's too much pressure. Eventually, something is going to give. And that's what's happening with your brain. It's creating unnecessary pressure, unnecessary stress, unnecessary results. Okay? Rule number 18, how you speak is how you succeed. We are going to fix this. Too many people, it's not about speaking on stage, and that's one thing some of you want to do, but it's also speaking on how you communicate and how you persuade with people. You need to learn how to speak better. Okay? Rule number 19, get paid to give advice. No such thing as free advice anymore. If you give free advice, you are no better than Google. People don't respect free. They don't respect free. I'm going to teach you how to monetize that on Monday. I wonder who that was. Number 1, don't be penny wise and dollar foolish. Too many people are tripping over pennies to make dollars. It doesn't make sense. Number 2, success with the path of least resistance. Point A to point B in the shortest amount of time. Don't complicate it. Make it simple. A to B, that's all. Then B to C. Make it simple. Don't look at how much things cost you. Look at how much things are going to make you. Too many people in marketing says, but I got to spend $5,000 in marketing. It's not how much it's going to cost you. It's how much $5,000 is going to make you. Because if not, you've already decided. I always say coaching doesn't cost you money. Coaching makes you money. Right? I mean, I did 3 coaching sessions on Sunday to get ready for mega partnering. And yes, it's expensive for me to coach. But would you agree that where's Raleigh? Where's Raleigh? Are you there? How did you like your 1-minute coaching session with me? I sat there, I gave him an idea within 1 minute, and he walked away, and he goes, that was the greatest minute of my life. And he goes, I've never had one of those before. I gave him 1-minute coaching session. It was supposed to be 30 minutes, and he was so wide away that he walked away. There's a few, where's Jeanette? Are you here, Jeanette? Yeah, you're right next to Raleigh, right? I gave you, 16 minutes, and then you looked at me going like, can we roll them over? You know, like singular wireless. How would you say 16 minutes of coaching with me was? Blown away. I gave her more than 16 minutes than anyone had ever given it because I just got straight to the point. And she started off saying, well, let me tell you. And I said, don't tell me. What do you need? That's all. What do you need? Tell me what you need. What you need, I'll solve it. That's all. I don't need to hear a story. The story is irrelevant. The story is irrelevant. Tell me what the problem is. She says to me, I needed how to do this. And here's the funny part. I was coaching her, and she did a Tele-Summit launch, which you should definitely talk to if you want to do a Tele-Summit. She's the person to talk to. And she thought that her Tele-Summit did not work as well as she thought. And after talking to her, I said, you had immense success. Now, your offer could have been tweaked up. Your offer wasn't good. But how you got the number of leads you had and everything, and the people you got, and the unique selling proposition, you did better than 99% of the people. In fact, I don't think you did better than me. So she thought she had failed, but she had succeeded. And one big part where she failed was she didn't have the right offer, right? You can have the great process and great everything, but if what you have is not, something people want or desire, it's not going to make sense, okay? Map versus GPS. So most people, cheap people, if they say, well, how do I get from point A to point B? They're going to go on the internet and MapQuest it, print up all these pieces of paper, and then trying to figure out, probably get lost, go to the gas station. And of course, they're very knowledgeable at gas stations on directions, especially in Africa. And what happened is that you get the directions, you get lost, and then you give up, or you get there like half day late. What if you could just put your coordinates in a GPS and it gets you to point A to point B? That's what you want to provide for your clients. That's what you want to provide. And by the way, for any of you who are in the service business, tell them I'm like a GPS. You can try to do it yourself, and it's going to take you forever. Or I'm like a financial GPS, or a marketing GPS. You put in the coordinates, and then you'll get exactly to where you want to be. Use that analogy, very powerful. A GPS and point A to point B gives you the least amount of resistance. Although if you put it in an Apple GPS, I never know if I'm actually going to end up at the right place. So use Google Maps for your iPhone. Because I ended up in Compton the other day to go pick up my shoes, and I assure you, they were not selling shoes where I was. So. But it's cheaper than what Dr. Galley was offering, that's for sure. Don't do 5,000 things. Do 5 things 1,000 times, laser focused. Don't do 5 things. Keep doing it over and over and over and over, and eventually. Most people have 5,000 things open. Do 5 things 5,000 times, over and over and over and over and over and over, especially if it works. Okay? Don't do 5,000 things. Do 5 things 5,000 times. So, second part of the brain that Dr. Galley has been working on developing for me is the basal ganglia, which I don't even know that's how you even pronounce it, but that's how it's common. And it's the common part of your brain that senses patterns of what you do. So what it tries to do is it's trying to put things together, these clutters, and make sense of clutters. Okay, so a lot of our lives are chaotic. A lot of business deals are chaotic. It tries to find patterns. So what does that mean? For example, you can't order food for a party unless you know how many people are coming, correct? But you would be surprised how many people go and buy things and go, well, you know, if people show up, they show up just to be safe. They don't know the number, and they either under order or over. And if they do over, they lose money. If they go under, they look bad. You understand? And part of the brain kicks in and says, well, let me get the more or less the right number, and we'll get the right number of things. Most people don't do that, okay? So rule number 22, when you start a task, you have to finish it. When you start a task, you have to finish it. Switching tasks wastes energy, and as a result, you're prone to make mistakes. Start something, finish it. Start marketing, finish it. Start website, finish it. Start book, finish it. Right? Anything you start, you absolutely have to finish, because when you get back to it, you might get prone to making mistakes. Mistakes are costly. Mistakes are costly, right? Finish it. Start it, finish it. Start it, finish it. Start it, finish it. I was very overwhelmed about 3 weeks ago, and then I just overwhelmed, and then 2 weeks ago I called my new 9-figure coach, and I said, I got all this stuff going on there, and he says to me, you know what? He says, write down everything that you have, and that's not finished. And I had 70 things that had started and not finished. He goes, that's the problem. It was creating unnecessary steps, and I couldn't focus anymore because I had too much to do. And just thinking about all the things I had to do was stressing me out. So he goes, take it, eliminate one thing at a time, and I got rid of it, and man, did it make a difference. I felt like a huge sense of relief. Multitasking only works if you're doing something that's considered routine rather than innovation. So if you're doing 6 things that are considered innovative, it's never going to work. But if you're doing, people say, I can multitask. You know how I well multitask? I do 2, 3, or 4 innovative things at once, and the other things I do is routine. So my brain's already conditioned. I already know what they are, right? And by the way, for me, routine is very different than what we talked about routine. I'm talking about, business stuff routine, not picking up my dry cleaning or doing the transactional. I'm talking about, write this down, transformational routine, not transactional routine. Transactional routine is the mundane stuff. Transformational routine, right? That's the stuff that's going to move your business forward. It's different. So multitasking is okay. So people say, I'm a horrible multitasker. It's because you have trouble taking more than 2 or 3 big ideas at the same time, creating unnecessary stress. Rule number 23, distractions are the root of all failures. Distractions are things that take you out of your mojo, out of your focus, that they lead to procrastination. So we need to eliminate distractions. So how do we do that? Distraction is a byproduct of thinking about ourselves and creating doubt in certain situations, and in many times when they don't even exist. That is when you have a lack of competence, and then you lack
confidence. A distraction arises from a doubt or an excuse to remove yourself what you're doing. A distraction, write this down, a distraction is something that you created. A distraction is something your brain has created to try to take off tasks of what you're currently doing, because chances are you don't want to do. Chances are when you want to do something, you tend not to be distracted because you tend to be focused and you don't want to take anything in. Okay? By the way, are you enjoying this stuff? Is this good stuff? Yeah. Good, good. Because we have another 117. Focus occurs through inhibition of distractions. Very important. People say, I could say, I am focused today because of Nito. Nito taught me two important things, time management and focus, and I believe I've never been so focused in my life. Because what it does is, focus gets derailed by distractions, so I get rid of distractions. But I will tell you how in the last 2 weeks, I've had more distractions I've had in my whole life. And I've let them come into my life. I will be talking to you about that, how they've affected me, and how you can stop that yourselves. Analysis of paralysis is a result of putting the brakes in your brain. It's when the fear venom is released. Fear venom. The only reason why people say they have to think about something is because they are afraid. They are afraid of loss. They are afraid of success. They are afraid of change. They're afraid of other people you do, because fear is a venom. Nobody is born with a fear gene. It's something that coats all around your brain. Something that then moves over to your heart and all the way to your gut, and it's poisoned you. Fear is a cancer. And it's a cancer inserted by others. Nobody was born fearful. Fear is something that someone fed to you. The media, family, friends, other people that are less successful than you. That's what fear is. Fear was ingrained in us. If you don't get a degree, you will fail. Degree hasn't done anything for me, and I've got one and still haven't picked it up. Doesn't do anything for me. Rule 24, embrace stress and live your life as a paranoid optimist. I am the most paranoid person in the world. I always think the end of the world is coming. You can ask Damien. Every day I call him, I'm like, I got a bad feeling about this. He goes, you always have bad feelings. But I'm an optimist. I will succeed no matter what. Because paranoia creates an edge. And an edge is very important. Because if you have no paranoia, that means that you're too comfortable. And if you are too comfortable, that's when mistakes start happening. Most of the people that I've seen that have made money and became successful got too comfortable and then fell down. To become successful, you have to be uncomfortable. And you have to embrace stress. Stress is just part of anything. Don't let that take over your life, but embrace it as, hey, I will be stressful. Do you know why? Because I am an entrepreneur. There's no such thing as stress-free entrepreneurs. Now, Linda, you've got a great book on stress, correct? And that if anybody has business stress, she wrote an amazing book on stress with several people here in this room, as well as some of the speakers. So she's the person you need to talk to about if you want to overcome that stress. But her book is really good. It's kind of like success and overcoming stress and how to manage your stress, because it's always going to be there. The more success you have, the more stress you have. The broker you are, the more stress you have. Right? And if you stay in the middle, you get bored. Right? Most people who just live, don't exist, they just kind of get bored. They kind of stay in that zone. Maximum JT Foxx performance in my brain requires the right level of stress, not minimal stress. I need stress in my life. Stress forces me to innovate. Stress forces me to continue being uncomfortable. It forces me. Think about this, right? How many people went to Mega Partnering 5 with Steve Wozniak here, right? So we have a lot of people. Would you agree that that was an amazing event with the co-founder of Apple? Yes. Did any of you thought that it could be topped off? No. Was Mega Partnering 6, according to the surveys, topped off Mega Partnering 5? Do you agree? The production and everything. So now the pressure is, how do I make 7 the best one you've ever gone? Because I don't want people to say, well, it was good, but I like 6 better. No, I have to hear I like 7 better. And that's how we do it in the office. And by the way, the bigger the names, the more money, the more production, the more stress, you know what I mean? Everything is just so much pressure and stress. Stress on staff, stress on me, stress on the guests, stress on performance, stress on the AV, stress on my whole team. Because we can't afford to say that it wasn't the best. I create a lot of stress. But I know that it's a byproduct of success. Because at the end result, I can't be happy with what I did next. I have to be happy with what I do next. You should always be next. I'm supposed to enjoy this Mega Partnering. There's nothing enjoyable to me. I'm in complete negotiations with 8 people for Mega Partnering 8, and I'm pulling my hair on some of the demands. Jet, this, that, this. You know what I mean? It's crazy. People say, I don't think I've ever sat with a Mega Partnering and just enjoyed it and said, you know what? Hey. And then, as you know, I sent that email saying this was going to be the last Mega Partnering a few months ago. And I kind of feel like Netflix. I know how they feel now. Because I would talk to people and say, hey, listen, we'll go to the next one. I heard that 3 times in one day. And so I said, you know what? How about this? There's no next one. Nice knowing you. So then I made that announcement, and I got thousands of emails from people saying, it's the best thing. Mega Partnering is not yours. It's where we get to network and find the relationship. It's like a reunion. And so a reunion of successful people. And then I had people who had never been to Mega Partnering who were upset that this was the last Mega Partnering. It was crazy. So you don't even go, and you're still upset. So I didn't understand. And then I started getting the emails. You don't have to run it. You know what I mean? That doesn't matter. You don't show up. We'll do just fine without you. I'm like... So I said, I'll do it, but Mega 8 is going to give priority to people here. We're at 7, but anybody new is going to have to go through a rigorous. You're going to have to tell me, why weren't you at 7? And it's going to have to be a pretty compelling excuse, right? Because I don't want 1,000 people. I really don't. I really, really, really don't. Like, look, we have, 365 in the room based on what I counted so far? That's like not even half. There's a whole bunch of people. This thing is going to be jam-packed. Right? I didn't even want to do 800 this time around, but people were forcing me because everybody from the last one wanted to come to this one. So you kind of got to get some new people as well. But then there's a lot of people here that they've been here to 3 Mega Partnerings, and you haven't even met them yet. So it just goes to show. Right? Rule 25. Take the emotion out of making decisions. It always helps to solve problems. Take the emotion. It always helps to solve problems 1,000%. So what does that mean is take the emotion. Most people are emotional. When they negotiate, they're emotional. When they do business, they're emotional. Take the emotions out. There's no such things as emotions in business, right? There's no such things. Help solve problems. It works 1,000 times better, right? And the fact that other people are emotional, use that to your advantage. If they're emotional, you be emotional. If they're business, you be business, right? So you got to adapt to the environment that you're in. Solving problems sometimes requires that you put yourself in an idle mode and let the brain and gut sort it out. Sometimes when you have a problem, never quit at the end of the day. A lot of people quit and then they just give up. Let the brain and gut sort it out. And you'll always find a solution. I guarantee you will always find a solution. There is no such thing as a problem that is unsolvable. Do you understand? There is no such thing as an unsolvable problem. Everything can be solved. Everything. Okay? Let the gut sort it out. Put your brain on idle mode. Shut down. You know, sometimes I have some of these worst days, and I just go to bed, right? You know why? I got this at the Apple store, and I wish I owned it now that I'm telling you about it. But it's a Jawbone, and I put it under my wrist, and it tells me, I plug it into my iPhone at the end of the day, like this, right? It goes into the jack, and it tells me how many steps I walked and how much I burned calories and how much was idle. But what I like about this is it tells me what kind of sleep am I having. So it'll tell you how much deep sleep I have, how long it took me to fall asleep, and also light sleep versus deep sleep. And over the past week, it's been extremely stressful for me, and I'll explain to you that tomorrow. And what it does is I've been getting less than an hour of deep sleep, where I average about 3 hours and a half of usually deep sleep. And I've been getting up 2 or 3 times more in the middle of the night. And I didn't even know I'm getting up, so chances are I'm either sleepwalking or having nightmares, stuff like that. But this tells you all this stuff, right? And then it compares the results with all the other weeks and stuff like that. And it goes, something must be wrong. And I'm like, no shit. You know what I mean? Right? So, and it says that you should sleep 8 hours today. And I go, I wish. Rule 26, drama is the thing that derails the path to success. And boy, have I had some drama this week. Right? Ugh. But drama is just, there's drama always, and I probably let the drama get to me this week. So that was a mistake that I did. Right? And then I had to actually call my coaches who said, just, dude, let it go. Let it go. And I'll explain that to you. The advice, and Nita will be here tomorrow. He'll explain it to you, too. Emotions often make decisions and problems seem bigger than they seem. So your drama, your emotions get in, and they just amplify the problems. And you know what I mean? You know what drama is? Drama is a result of taking something personal, or as a result of being hurt. I felt that I was betrayed, and I've felt more hurt this week than I think I've been in my entire life. So that's probably why I let the drama go in, because I allowed myself to trust, and as a result, I got burned for it. And I'm not a very trusting person by nature. I think everybody is full of shit until proven innocent, because everyone always feeds me the best of what they have. Do you understand? I sit there and whatever people tell me, I usually take a sponge and I can divide it by 3. That's by nature. But because I was looking for something greater, I opened myself up to something greater, to something else different. And I wanted to learn. I felt I was stuck. I felt that I have achieved so much at such a young age that I didn't know where my life, like, where do I take this? You know, I'm so dependent on coaching to succeed. I was looking for something, and, you know, I opened my heart, and then it got used against me. And I remember, you know, a story with my first partner, Seth. And I'm here, this guy from Canada. I'm like naive, this young guy, broke. And I'm telling Seth certain secrets I have, and we're talking and stuff like that. And then one day he used it against me. And I learned a very valuable lesson very earlier on, that I should never tell anybody like that anything of personal nature that can come back and hurt me. Right? Can come back and hurt me. Because I have nobody to talk to. Do you understand? I'm on top of the food chain. Everybody looks to me. And then when I go and ask people, right, then they either say, you need me, or, you know, they want more money. It's like one of these funny things that about me. So, and also, too, people see me in such a different light that they think I'm Superman. Only when I go to Dr. Galley, I'm Superman. But other than that, I'm just like normal everybody else, but there's no one to talk to. There's no one to say, here you are. And I'm afraid if the relationship doesn't work out or they get upset, that they will be used against me. So the first time I opened up, and it got used against me. And it got used to me be pretty bad. It got used to me pretty bad. This time they got me. But I'm going to have the last word. So, you know what I mean? I spoke to Mr. Trump about it just yesterday, because I needed some advice from different people from different perspective for people who understand. Right? And the valuable lessons, next time you'll keep your mouth shut. You know what I mean? I learned a very valuable lesson. Now, in your situation, it's very different. You have a very different relationship with the coach you have. You're going up the ranks, right? You do not pose a threat to anybody yet. You understand? And so yeah, it's been, you know, it's been very hurtful. You know, it's been a long time that I've felt like pain, like that. Pain from the heart. Because I've been very good at getting everything aside. Nothing phases me. You know what I mean? I don't get emotional or dramatic about anything. But I think when you trust somebody and they felt like, you know, someone that's close to you, it's like if you felt a family member came back and you helped them and they came back and they stabbed you in the back with a knife and then twisted it and then said it was my fault. Right? That's how I felt. So that's how I felt. But you know what Nito says? Take the knife out, wipe it off, get a stitch up, smile, and wear body armor next time. Right? So, you know, So it's very difficult. That's why I'm not talking about it today, because it's still very sensitive to me, and I haven't formulated my thoughts about how I want to do and what I want to do about it. But yeah, I mean, this week, think about it, with everything going on in mega partnering, to have these types of things happen to me, you know what I mean? But then I'm very good at taking it in a compartment and placing it there and just doing what I do. You know what I mean? And just put it, and continuing, because I can't let that. Most people let it affect everything. It's there, but I'm able to put it in a compartment. But it has to deal with, because eventually it'll start seeping. You understand? It'll start seeping. And then it's like a battery that leaks. You know what I mean? You think it's not a problem, but eventually it leaks, and it's just, you know, then it ruins everything, can ruin the engine, can ruin everything. But, you know, we are emotional people. And sometimes we say things that we don't mean, right? Rule 27, conquer uncertainty. How do you conquer uncertainty? Well, number one, by optimism. Some of you here are so optimistic. You know, Billy and Connie are the first people. They're the most optimistic people I know, and they're always very happy. And that's why they're very successful. They're very optimistic people. And I know many of you here are also very optimistic. Also a byproduct of your environment. What is your environment? Who you hang around with is who you become. Now, at Mega Partnering here, for those all here, nobody knows. There are people here among you that are worth $100 million. There are people here that are startups, okay? But all of you are a level of success. Nobody knows what your worth is unless you tell them, or unless you act like it, okay? Also, too, it is very important. We are a family, okay? It says on your bracelet, it's what we believe. We view you as family. There should be no negativity, because you know what happens when you're negative? Someone comes back to me or my staff or Damien and says, by the way, so-and-so said that about you, or I overheard so-and-so. You know why they tell me that? Because they want me to look them in a positive light of success. So then I'll be like, wow, I can trust that person. Look at what they're telling me. Right? And when you say things negative about somebody, it always comes back to haunt you. So be positive, because you never know who's listening, especially here. I mean, there's a lot of people who know me. There's a lot of people who like me. You know what I mean? Anything that's negative is going to come back, and then I don't want that. There's about 10 people we did not invite from the last people at Mega Partnering, because 3 or 4 people told me they were negative. And then they were begging, why can't I come? Why can't I come? Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? We don't need no negativity. We're supposed to help each other. Here's the difference between South Africa and America. I ask you to bring a couple people to an event, and people bring 0 people. I ask people in South Africa to bring people, they bring 30. Izan, are you there? Izan brought 38, was it? Stand up. Izan is from South Africa. Give her a round of applause. And she brought 38 A players, and 38 A players, like not just, you know, hey, what are you doing? Come over here. You know what I mean? Just like successful people. And I think there's a lot of people here as well. Penny, are you there? Penny. There's several of you here. Etienne is going to come later. So there's a lot of people that brought people in, and they're going to bring great people at Mega Partnering Africa. It's amazing. I've never seen anything. I have never been more happier doing business in South Africa than I have been in a very long time, because it feels that everything I teach, they do. They don't debate, and even the coaches are seeing a big difference. I think because that fear and that ingrainedness, and you know, some of the South Africans are achieving more success than I have ever had or anybody ever had. And then if you ask them, they don't believe. They think that this is like, you know, not normal, or they're like not doing very well, or they, you know, because they haven't been outside. And I think when they get to meet all of you that are successful, that was the thing. It's like a Canadian. You take a Canadian, you put them to America, they explode. Keep that Canada in Canada, never leaves, always does their things, very small, right? For the Canadians who have come and done business in America, or come to an event, they go back to Canada and they dominate. It's the same thing. Sometimes you need to get out of your environment. You don't know unless you go. And I respect anybody who flew from South Africa to Los Angeles. I'll never want to hear anybody in America tell me that they have to fly to Los Angeles. That's just bullshit. You know, these people fly as much as 30 hours. What's the longest flight here someone took to get here? Anybody over 30 hours? 30 hours? 36. You know, next time, you know what I mean? Like for $100, you can take a little, like one connection. Don't do what I do to my staff. I'm like, hey. And by the way, I gave you a great name. Yes, I did. In fact, I regretted it after giving it to you. It was really good. I was just talking about names of foundations, and I said, and then I said a name. They're like, that would be amazing. I'm like, yeah, I know. I gave it to somebody. So that was very good. Relationships. Network equals net worth. So who you hang around with is who you become. You're a byproduct of the 5 closest people you hang out with. If you hang out with 5 broke people, and if you go dinner with 5 broke people, you know what they say when the bill comes? 5 checks, right? When you go to dinner with 5 broke people, right, when it's time to get the bill, they're like, well, I only had 2 pieces of the calamari, so why should I pay? You know what I mean? Right? When 5 broke people, when they go and pay the dinner bill, right, there's a few people who always have to go to the bathroom. And then they're like this. I know, I invented it. There's also the patented J.T. Foxx move, right? When the bill comes, right, you wait, they put their credit card, pull the billfold in, and you go, do you want me? And they're like, don't worry, and you get next one. You know what I mean? It's all about timing. So that comes in. The key is if you just go like this, there's an opportunity to take it. But if you go around, buy yourself some seconds. It's a true story, too. Success, significance, and legacy. 3 of the most important things for anybody who makes money. That's what they care about. And you could probably add family to that, but I'm just success, significance, legacy, and family. Those are the 4 most important things that I've seen with successful people. It's the same thing. They want success, they want significance, they want to help and give back, they want a legacy, and their family is important. So that's how you conquer uncertainty. So how do you conquer uncertainty? Saying, you know what I'm doing, I want to be successful, I want to be significant, and I want to have a legacy. Don't take things personal. It's just business, right? That's just the cost of doing business, okay? All that the brain recognizes is what you feed it. Feed your body, feed your brain. So think about this. Your brain is a byproduct of what you feed it. If you don't mind feed it, if you don't overcome fear of it, if you don't do any of that stuff, you will be affected here. You will be affected in your brain, right? It will eat you. It will consume you. Okay? Rule 28. Confidence is the primary reward to success. Certainty is the biggest threat as it creates too much comfortableness. There is no such thing as certainty. Anybody who says certainty creates mistakes. Certainty creates overconfidence. Certainty creates so many problems. Because the moment that you think something is certain, you no longer disrupt it. Because you know it's certain, so why should I change it? It's certain. Oh, sorry. Can you put me online? Sorry, I pressed the wrong button. So, no more certainty. There's no such thing. There's only 2 things that are certain. Death and taxes. Only thing that are certain. Everything else is up for grabs. Were you done writing? Okay. Live, don't simply exist. You got one shot at life. It's what Nito says to me. You got one shot at life. You can always make more money. What you cannot make more of is experiences. I've decided to create a new division in the company, and I'll talk about it tomorrow. It's called JT Foxx Experiences. And I have a phenomenal life. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want, however I want. I can have access to whoever I want. And you're about to see just some of the things I've been able to pull off with some of the people. And I decided to start taking some of my students along for me and do the exact same thing that I'm doing. And my philosophy is if more than one person can do it, then we can all hedge the cost down and you could have the exact same benefit that I've done. Remember I talked about last time about Howard Schultz at the last mega partnering. There was an opportunity. That was probably one of the greatest things I've done. Sitting down with the CEO of Starbucks with 4 other of my students and just being with him and learning from him and still being in contact with him, it just was amazing. Not too many people can say that. And that picture with Howard Schultz is just making so much money. It's unbelievable. Because people are like, wow, you were with you had a power lunch with the CEO of Starbucks? Well, on Monday, we'll have some of the students that came with me to Howard Schultz, and they will tell you, but what an amazing experience. What an amazing experience. So one of the things we created, for example, in South Africa, the day before Mega Africa, we're going to go golfing with George Ross. And then we're going to go quadding the day before. Malcolm, who's an expert, for those of you who are thinking about going on a safari in Africa or a golf outing or whatever, he's probably connected all over the world. And so he arranged something like that for us to do that. And so that's what it is. So I want it to be more experiences. I don't want to bring 50 people to golf. It doesn't make sense. But I feel that when we have a small group of people. So you'll have the opportunity. But more importantly, the more time you spend with me, right? The more I will get to know you, and the more eventually I'll just probably have to end up doing business with you. Do you understand? You can ask Roger Bryan, who came to Africa, and we went to on a safari together and stuff like that. And I think a byproduct of why I've done a lot of business with Roger is because we've just spent so much time together. Then after a while, I say, dude, I might as well get paid for it. You know what I mean? Not true, Roger? Should we tell him about the whole 5 hours? See, Ryan planned the trip. You understand? They had a plane ready to pick me up. But Ryan invited himself to this. It's very clever. I've taught him well, almost too well. And so then we had a 5-hour ride. And you know what's it like to be in a car with me for 5 hours? Ask Roger. There is no noise-canceling earphones. But I always tell people, if I stop making fun of you, that's probably a bad sign. But we had a great time in Africa and got to see lions and rhinos. And Ryan almost got trampled and Damien by an elephant. You know what I mean? So I want to go in there. And one of Etienne, who will be there later today, he's like, they shouldn't go there. This is not the zoo. I was like, I want to get a good shot. And he goes, JT, you're my coach. I recommend you stay here. So I'm staying right here. And the elephant's going like this, which is not something elephants normally do. I didn't see that on the Discovery Channel. You know what I mean? And Ryan's like, look at me. So he almost died. You know what I mean? It was quite an experience. So maybe what we'll do is we'll show some of the pictures. We did it on Monday of our safari in Africa and what it is. And there was like a cheetah. Was it a cheetah? Leopard. A leopard, same thing. Tomato. So we're on this safari, but I got on the seat of the tracker. So normally they have this African dude who will chase the animals down. But I took that seat because I wanted to be closer. And so I have the camera, right? And we're driving, and Etienne in his little open Range Rover sees the leopard, and he starts turning towards the leopard, and I'm going closer, and the leopard's like, and I'm like this, you know what I mean? He goes, don't make sudden movements. But what happens if he attacks? Still, lay still. So, we had a gun in case something would happen. So I was holding the gun and didn't do anything with it. So then I passed it back to him like this, and he goes, really, dude? I'm like, I don't know. I'm Canadian. They're not allowed to have guns. Rule 30, never create unrealistic expectations. Singles and doubles win championships, not home runs. The fundamentals. A lot of people say, for those of you, who did I coach here the other day? KD, are you in the room? Well, one of my students was like, I'm working on this $30 million deal. Forget it. That's not what wins. Singles and doubles, right? Most people, the biggest sometimes killer of your success is that if you create unrealistic expectations. You don't want to do that, okay? Never create singles and doubles. For those of you who are from South Africa, I don't know the terminology with cricket. I still don't understand the game. So anybody here who is from like Canada, America, who understand how cricket works? All I know is I'll start off watching cricket, I'll fall asleep and wake up, and they're still playing the same game, and then they had a lunch break. I don't know any sports where you take a lunch break and then you come back. I don't get it. And then it looks like baseball, but it don't look because it goes any side. It makes no sense. And they're like, oh, what a wicket, and I don't know what that is. And I'm trying to Google it on Wikipedia, and it's 20 pages long, so I gave up. They need to simplify cricket. Yeah. Expectations are the experience of the brain paying attention to a potential reward. If the expectation isn't met, fear venom is released, or disappointment. So what happens is if you set unrealistic expectations, these people, they're like, you should have a dream wall. And they put all the things on there, like I want this type of car, and I want this type of thing, and it never happens. I've never had anybody say, look at my board, and I now have it. And what happens, though, is all it is a dream. It creates, When you create unrealistic expectations and it doesn't work, all you're doing is you're setting yourself up for failure and disappointment, discouragement. Set realistic expectations and surpass them. Did you ever set an expectation that says, I never thought I could do this, and then you did it more than you thought? What does that build? There you go. Sometimes unrealistic expectations alter the data of the brain that it perceives. I'm not sure why I used that picture, but that's, what is that? What is that? Is that in South Africa? Probably, yeah. So sometimes unrealistic expectations alter the data of the brain that it perceives. So what you're doing is that your brain knows that you can't do it. So what happens is you probably don't. It's just talk. That's not balloons. It's plastic jugs, correct. It's pots and pans. It's definitely Africa. It's definitely Africa. What it is it's they buy them for like 10 cents, and then we're bringing them to America and selling them for $20. So it's my new business. I'm in this business now. Often during the process, we only accept data that fits and reject the data, although real, not the impossible. So here's what it is. So on one hand, you want to believe so much that you could do it, but then you're rejecting the data that says, well, maybe it's not going to work, you should do it that way, because you want the data to fit. So it's like taking a piece of the puzzle and trying to fitting it when it doesn't fit, because you're either tired, you're aggravated, you're like, I know it fits there, and you just get frustrated. Small success creates momentum. Momentum creates an increase in dopamine, and dopamine is a, holy moly. Yeah, that word. And neurotransmitter in the central nervous system, the retina and the sympath. Dr. Galley wrote this part, so we can ask him when we talk to him. I said to him about what, because I've been very interested about the brain, and so he gave me this, and I have no idea what it means, and he'll explain it when he's here over the next 4 days about what exactly is this thing. But all he's saying is that when you have small successes, it releases something in the brain that kind of creates momentum, confidence, competence, excitement, right? So that's really what it is. It just kind of takes care of everything, doesn't it? I just simplified it for you. I probably should have read the slides, but it's yeah, whatever, dude. Yeah, how many deals have you done, huh? See, I don't know everything. But it sure sounded good when I was typing it. This could be all bullshit. I don't know, but it sounds good. That's all I know. Makes me sound important. Thank you, Dr. Galley. Are you guys done writing this paragraph? No. Who's not done? Oh, well, she's writing. Exceeding the expectation creates a large increase in dopamine level and a huge spike in confidence. So I just simplified it. Should have just turned to the other slide. Then it would have looked like I knew what I was talking about. But that's really what it does. I mean, there's nothing worse when you set up unrealistic expectation and you feel like you're driving to nowhere and you're not getting there. So it's like you're driving, okay, till the next rest stop and to the next city. That's why when you drive long distance, you don't be like, because if you just think about the final destination rather than, okay, we're going to reach this city or going to reach this area, it tends to release things, or else it's just like, oh, we're never going to get there. It's never going to make it. And you start creating doubt. Was it worth going there? Was it worth driving? Should you have to spend the extra $300 to fly? All these things start going into your mind. But that's what it is. So nothing, people say to me, there's a T-shirt that I just created. It says, success takes care of everything. There's a way of taking care of everything, right? Failure ruins everything, but success takes care of everything. If you got a problem and you have achieved success in helping your family, success in this, or your child having success, or you doing a deal, whatever it is, success is a way, right? I mean, if your kid wins the championship or has the winning goal or does this or that, I mean, it takes care of everything. It makes everything worth it. Okay? Rule 31, your exit strategy is more important than your primary strategy. The first thing I look at, any business I buy, I get involved in, or anything I do, I always take a look at the exit strategy. Exit strategy is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Of course it was, Chuck. Didn't I tell you? You know, no one wants to talk to me about that. Tell them we're busy for the next 3 weeks. Ask yourself the 3 following questions no matter what you do. What's the best thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? And what's the most likely thing that could happen? That is ingrained in my brain. You should have a t-shirt that says that for yourself. The most important thing is those 3 questions. What's the best thing can happen? What's the worst thing can happen? What's the most likely thing can happen? Keep asking yourself over and 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 over every time. If you do that, then what you're doing, it's called risk analysis management. Risk analysis management. Risk analysis management. Okay? What's the best thing to happen? What's the worst thing? I do that in every single decision. Should I do this? Should I do that? And I just go through the model. That's all. Then at least I know that I've evaluated the best thing, the worst thing. Rule 32. What do we really want out of business? Number 1, people want independence, they want acceptance, they want status, and they want credibility, and they want significance, and they want purpose. So every product, service, or investment, those are the things that you need to build around. These are the hot new marketing buzzwords. You want to talk about independence for those of you who are info marketer, women marketing to women. They want acceptance, status, credibility, significance, purpose. Your investors that you partner up with, what they want is they want to feel significance. They feel like they're involved. You know, people travel halfway across the world to come to mega partnering so that they have status, so they have credibility, they have purpose, they have significance. That's what they want. These you got to use in your marketing. When you pitch someone and you talk to someone, talk about acceptance and status and credibility and significance and purpose. It's not just investing, it's making a difference, right? In business, you have to create a greater sense of purpose to whoever you're talking to. You have to create a greater sense of purpose. Okay? Rule 33, to kill for or to be killed, that is the question. There's 2 types of thing. Do people want to kill you or they want to kill for you? Now, for many years, I operated a business where, everyone wanted to kill me. And I would do a good job of killing everybody back in my way, every business, every negotiation. I was always stand tall, but it only takes one person, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe 10 years from now, who comes behind you, goes, poof. And part of the reason why I wanted to kill everyone, or everyone wanted to kill me, is because I wanted to prove to everyone that I wasn't what I thought they was, or my whole life people told me I would never make it. My whole life people told me I would never make it, so I came back with a vengeance and saying, really? Right? And then when I went back to the people and say, ha ha, look, I'm successful, nobody said, wow, we're so impressed, congratulations. They hated me more. So what happened is, very simply, is I had the chip on the shoulder. And that's how I operated, and that gave me my edge. And then one day, I just let it go. And Nito, if those of you listen to the iPod with all my coaching sessions, you just let it go, let it go. And one day, I just let it go. I stopped trying to convince people that, I was right and they were wrong. If you don't get it, you don't get it. So that took some pressure off of me. Change comes from within. You can't help or change others unless you help yourself first. And how you change is how you succeed. Nobody wants help from broke people. That's just a fact of life. People want help from people that are more successful than them, that they can look up to, not down to. So it's time for change. In fact, can anybody, and I don't know why I'm asking this stupid question, because it's off script, but whatever. Can anybody tell me in their mind, some of you have known me for a very long time, some of you relatively short, What in your eyes have you seen is the greatest change in JT Foxx?
You're more confident, relaxed.
So more confident, relaxed. Wait until I take a Red Bull tomorrow, baby. But yeah, anybody else? I'm nicer. Sure. Yeah. Yes, I'm more polished because I've done things so many times that now I'm focused on polishing. And like Nito, do you guys ever notice that on the videos we show Nito, Nito's kind of like funny and all that? Have you noticed that he's still funny, but he's funny in a different way? Do you remember the sandwich, like, bad sandwich, you know what I mean? It's like, but now it'd be like, and the sandwich was bad. I asked him, I said, dude, what happened to the walking around and, you know what I mean? And he goes, because now I've taken more of a statesman approach. You know? He says, you're not that at that level yet, but one day you'll hit that's okay. I want to be more seen as a statement, not as an entertainment act. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's very important. Entertainment is what sells. So at every level. Anybody else off the top of the mind, something that's... What are you saying? You say I had no personality? Now I do? I'm a warm personality. Thank you. Yes? Lois, you've known me for 4 years now. Yeah, you grew up. John, you've known me for over 5 years now. Where's John Rimkus? I just saw you here. John Rimkus, what would you say is the biggest change?
You don't care. I mean,
Whoa, easy.
Not about people. You don't care what people think about you.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Used to. There is no competition. Well, I just had this conversation yesterday. Everyone who was my competition is no longer there. I either do business with them or they're out of business. Right? Now, do you know what my competition is? The one that I create. But just as I create, I can just as quickly end it. Remember that. So the only person who's now my worst enemy is now me. So now I have to be even more careful now. Right? I have to be more careful. Because I can't let anybody threaten me or my students or my organization because of something that I created. So now it's a whole new step of life. So something I have to learn. And something I'm getting coaching about Nito tomorrow. Before Nito goes on stage, him and I have a coaching session in my room to go over about these things. And he's gone through a lot of that. You know, Nito's the nicest man in the world, but he's taken a lot of hits throughout the years. Immigrant, this and that, and people thought he was crazy, even a high point. Nito's very good at telling you things on the surface, but for those of you who listen to the coaching, and sometimes I talk to him, he goes, JT, I have the same problem. He was telling me how he's frustrated and stuff like that, and it's good to hear because sometimes, the problem is Nito always showed me the positive of things. And I always thought, like, it's so easy for him, and now him and I are restarting our coaching session. Now, he's been coaching with Damien, for those who've been listening to the iPod. I'm now resuming my coaching sessions with Nito, and now I said, dude, I know everything you know. I know I need to know about how things affect you because that's how I can relate. Because now I just think you're Superman and there's no mistake. And if I don't have that, so he goes, man, I have the same problems you do. So now we've been talking about some of the problems, and now we can relate to some of the staff problems, business problems, deal problems, pressure problems, media problems, false rumors problems, all that stuff. And that's what I want to hear. So now I'm resuming my coaching with him. I was still coaching, but more in detail so that I could see. And then for you to see that I have problems too. Right? We all have problems, but sometimes the speakers have a way to make it seem like everything is rosy. I have problems just like everybody else, but it's how I solve the problem that makes a difference. Anybody else want to add to this wonderful topic of depressing conversation? I didn't think so. Oh, yes.
It seems to me like you're more behind the scenes and not always having to be in the spotlight all the time.
That is correct, which also has created some problems, right? That's also created some sense of problems as well. But yeah, and also too, for example, just with my CEO, I hated my management staff for years. Like, I hated them. Like, you understand? Like, they just didn't work as hard. Damien is the first one where I can tell Damien one thing one time, and I know things are being taken care of. They had a big mega partnering staff meeting, and every other mega partner, I've had to be there, watch any details. They've taken care of everything. I don't even have to be there, so. Yeah. In fact, Damien says, don't come in the office, stay away, stay at home, don't go home. You know what I mean? Go to Africa. And then, now he saw how happy I was in Africa, so suddenly he now wants to, he was twice in Africa. Oh, you need me. We can have meetings. We haven't had one meeting since I've been in Africa with him. But that's because I trust him, and he cares, and he thinks like I do, and he has the same level of, his interest is to make the students successful first, and make the organization successful as a result of that, and he's coachable, he got coached by Nito, and that's been a huge pressure off of me because I have the right people. So that's kind of been the big thing. You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And he's very honorable, he's very integral. You know what I mean? I've dropped money right in front of him, see if we'd pick it up and keep it. And every time he goes, JT, you dropped money. I'm like, how would you know? Because you're the only one with $100 bills here. I'm like, how do you figure it? He goes, because you don't pay a lot. But he's not in the room, because every time I give him a compliment after mega partnering, he wants to renegotiate. So for the purpose of this mega partnering, he's doing a horrible job. Keep his pay. But, you know, he makes a lot of money, and he makes a lot of money, but he's paid on results. And that's kind of one of the things. So if it wasn't for him, a lot of this stuff wouldn't be possible. So now he's like, he wants me to focus on what I do best, and he focuses on what he does best. So that's been a great relationship, and I'm very blessed to have him. Human change is most challenging, but your brain changes constantly. So your brain always changes. That's just part of it, right? But human change is hard, because in order for people to accept that there's change, they have to accept that there's wrong, and most people don't want to be wrong. So that's kind of why human change is very important. People don't like to change. So some people like being comfortable. Some people don't want to come to events. Some people don't want to come here, and they don't want to go there. So that's very, very interesting in the component of that. Rule 35, every 3 to 4 months, reevaluate what you're doing. Reinvent yourself every 6 months to a year. Madonna redid it. Cher did it. In a way, Arnold did it. He went from bodybuilding to real estate investor to governor to now doing all kinds of charity, big projects. So you always have to reinvent yourself. I've reinvented myself. I started off in real estate. I've expanded in a whole slew of companies. Some of the topics of conversations here are mega partnering has evolved from just people from Canada and the United States to now people from all over the world. 37 different countries are represented at mega partnering. That's pretty cool. We got people coming from Afghanistan. Fine opium, fine. They're not here, so that's how I can say that. But great people. We have people coming from Finland, Slovakia, Russia, Dubai, UK, Poland. I mean, it's amazing that people come in there. And your point is that it doesn't mean that they're not international, that you can't network with them, right? So Rule 36, everything is a conceptual opportunity. There's opportunity in every relationship, every deal, no matter what. Good deals don't come to you, make them good deals. So conceptually, find a way. Look at this relationship. Okay, he's not in my industry, but how can we do business? Who does he know? This deal is not the right deal for me, but can I still profit from it? Can I still sell it to somebody else? Rather than saying, this is not for me, I'm not doing this, right? Rule 37, coaching works. How to use coaching. Coaching is done in a continuum. And how I use coaching. So here's how to use coaching. For those of you in real estate, never buy a real estate deal without checking with your coach. Okay? So if you have gone on a real estate buy, and I'm like, why would you buy that? I'm like, I don't know, I just had a good gut feeling. That's why your coaches are there. Any big business decision, don't be afraid to send your coach. And when you do, short and sweet, not just a long paragraph with the whole story, short and sweet. So coaching is done in a continuum. It's not just a one-year program. I've had Nito for over 3 years. I've had George Ross for 4 years. I've had my coach Mark for almost 5 years now. Coaching is in a continuum. You always continue. You don't stop. Coaching is like breathing. If you stop breathing, you will die. Most people are like, well, I haven't implemented yet, or I haven't seen the result. You know why you haven't seen the result? If you haven't seen the result, it's not that coaching's fault. It's you haven't implemented enough. Right? I once had someone I was working with who was shadowing me, and he was very successful. Well, he was a nice person. I just didn't understand why he wasn't getting involved. So I had him follow me for 3 days straight. And after 3 days, you know what I realized his problem was? He wasn't implementing enough ideas. He was taking one idea and overanalyzing, and not enough things were getting done. The more things you do, right, the 5 things you do. If you do 5 innovative things a month, you're going to skyrocket your business. Also, lack of strategic thinking. It's often the people who think that they're the busiest, that they're the least busiest. Okay? How I use coaching. I don't make any business decision without checking with my coach first. I've made 3 big, major mistakes in my business career, one of which was this year, one of which was that London thing, all of them arise because of one thing. I didn't check with my coach. And all of them had said, I told you so. Rightfully so. Because I thought I knew it all, my pride got in the way, who knows, right? Rule 38, always be disruptive no matter what. You talk Michael Eisner, former CEO of Disney at the last mega partnering, disruption. Disruption advances. Don't settle for the status quo. Learn, right? Success is contagious. Success attracts other successful people. Success attracts from other businesses, attracts success to yours. Take a look at what Starbucks and the Ritz-Carlton and companies like Zappos are doing in your business. Success is contagious. Success attracts success. Remember that. Rule 39, to become successful, you must become uncomfortable. We talked about that. Whoa. I guess our slide guy must have been having fun. I didn't pick that slide for the record. It was Damien Elston, E-L. 40, never take no for an answer. Never take no for an answer. Right? 39 is to become successful, you have to become comfortable. 40, never take no for an answer. 42, always add value first. Always, always, always add value first without expecting anything. Something, Malcolm, that you've done to me and many of you here have done to me, they've given and they've never asked me. And when you do that, when you give someone that's more successful than you, they will always reciprocate 100 times more. Always reciprocate. It's one thing South Africans and Africans do very well. In my experience, they always give so much more because that's kind of why they've been brought up. And then they actually don't expect anything back. And when you give anything back, they're blown away. It's been wonderful. I hope you know, for those of you here at Mega Partnering that are not from Africa, any of you who decide to go to Mega Partnering Africa, you get to go at no charge. Your status will be matched. In Africa to where you are here. So if you're founders here, you're founders there. If you're chairman, you're chairman there. And so it's a good opportunity for you to hedge your bets and also for you to show people that, hey, listen, I'm global now, you know. And then we're trying to arrange a safari. So when you see the people here from South Africa, talk to them. What kind of opportunities would there be for you and what you do? And you never know. I never thought we'd be in South Africa and Africa. And now I think I'm going to Nigeria now in September. I'm meeting the president of Nigeria. And it's just there's a lot of interesting things that are happening. So 42, dreams are things you wish. Vision is something you build. Dreamers talk about it. Visions build it. That's probably one of the most important things. Dreams are things you wish. Vision is something you build. And that's what Mega Partnering here is. That's what Mega Partnering is here. It's about building a vision. And that's what this is all about. It's about building something. And that's what Mega Partnering is about. It's just like, oh, we're never going to get there. It's never going to make it. And you start creating doubt. Was it worth going there? Was it worth driving? Should you have to spend the extra $300 to fly? You know, all these things start going into your mind. But that's what it is. So nothing, people say to me, there's a T-shirt that I just created. It says, you know, success takes care of everything. There's a way of taking care of everything, right? Failure ruins everything, but success takes care of everything. If you got a problem and you have achieved success in helping your family, success in this, or your child having success, or you doing a deal, whatever it is, success is a way, right? I mean, you know, if your kid wins the championship or has the winning goal or does this or that, I mean, it takes care of everything. It makes everything worth it, okay? Rule 31, your exit strategy is more important than your primary strategy. The first thing I look at, any business I buy, I get involved in, or anything I do, I always take a look at the exit strategy. Exit strategy is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Of course it was, Chuck. Didn't I tell you? You know, no one wants to talk to me about that. Tell them we're busy for the next 3 weeks. Ask yourself the 3 following questions no matter what you do. What's the best thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? And what's the most likely thing that could happen? That is ingrained in my brain. You should have a t-shirt that says that for yourself. The most important thing is those 3 questions. What's the best thing can happen? What's the worst thing can happen? What's the most likely thing can happen? Keep asking yourself over and 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 over every time. If you do that, then what you're doing, it's called risk analysis management. Risk analysis management. Risk analysis management. Okay? What's the best thing can happen? What's the worst thing? I do that in every single decision. Should I do this? Should I do that? And I just go through the model. That's all. Then at least I know that I've evaluated the best thing, the worst thing. Rule 32. What do we really want out of business? Number 1, people want independence, they want acceptance, they want status, and they want credibility, and they want significance, and they want purpose. So every product, service, or investment, those are the things that you need to build around. These are the hot new marketing buzzwords. You want to talk about independence for those of you who are info marketer, women marketing to women. They want acceptance, status, credibility, significance, purpose. Your investors that you partner up with, what they want is they want to feel significance. They feel like they're involved. You know, people travel halfway across the world to come to mega partnering so that they have status, so they have credibility, they have purpose, they have significance. That's what they want. These you got to use in your marketing. When you pitch someone and you talk to someone, talk about acceptance and status and credibility and significance and purpose. It's not just investing, it's making a difference, right? In business, you have to create a greater sense of purpose to whoever you're talking to. You have to create a greater sense of purpose. Okay? Rule 33, to kill for or to be killed, that is the question. There's 2 types of thing. Do people want to kill you or they want to kill for you? Now, for many years, I operated a business where, everyone wanted to kill me. And I would do a good job of killing everybody back in my way, every business, every negotiation. I was always stand tall, but it only takes one person, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe 10 years from now, who comes behind you goes, poof. And part of the reason why I wanted to kill everyone, or everyone wanted to kill me, is because I wanted to prove to everyone that I wasn't what I thought they was, or my whole life people told me I would never make it. My whole life people told me I would never make it, so I came back with a vengeance and saying, really? Right? And then when I went back to the people and say, ha ha, look, I'm successful, nobody said, wow, we're so impressed, congratulations. They hated me more. So what happened is, very simply, is I had the chip on the shoulder. And that's how I operated, and that gave me my edge. And then one day, I just let it go. And Nito, if those of you listen to the iPod with all my coaching sessions, you just let it go, let it go. And one day, I just let it go. I stopped trying to convince people that, I was right and they were wrong. If you don't get it, you don't get it. So that took some pressure off of me. Change comes from within. You can't help or change others unless you help yourself first. And how you change is how you succeed. Nobody wants help from broke people. That's just a fact of life. People want help from people that are more successful than them, that they can look up to, not down to. So it's time for change. In fact, can anybody, and I don't know why I'm asking this stupid question, because it's off script, but whatever. Can anybody tell me in their mind, some of you have known me for a very long time, some of you relatively short, what in your eyes have you seen is the greatest change in JT Foxx?
You're more confident, relaxed.
So more confident, relaxed. Wait until I take a Red Bull tomorrow, baby. But yeah, anybody else? I'm nicer. Sure. Yeah. Yes, I'm more polished because I've done things so many times that now I'm focused on polishing. And like Nito, do you guys ever notice that on the videos we show Nito, Nito's kind of like funny and all that? Have you noticed that he's still funny, but he's funny in a different way? Do you remember the sandwich, like, bad sandwich, you know what I mean? It's like, but now it'd be like, and the sandwich was bad.
I asked him, I said, dude, what happened to the walking around and you know what I mean? And he goes, because now I've taken more of a statesman approach. You know? He says, you're not that at that level yet, but one day you'll hit that's okay. I want to be more seen as a statement, not as an entertainment act. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's very important. Entertainment is what sells. So at every level. Anybody else off the top of the mind, something that's... What are you saying? Oh, you say I had no personality? Now I do? I'm a warm personality. Thank you. Yes? Lois, you've known me for 4 years now.
Yeah, you grew up.
John, you've known me for over 5 years now. Where's John Rimkus? I just saw you here. John Rimkus, what would you say is the biggest change?
You don't care. I mean,
Well, whoa, easy.
Not about people. You don't care what people think about you.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Used to. There is no competition. Well, I just had this conversation yesterday. Everyone who was my competition is no longer there. I either do business with them or they're out of business. Right? Now, do you know what my competition is? The one that I create. But just as I create, I can just as quickly end it. Remember that. So the only person who's now my worst enemy is now me. So now I have to be even more careful now. Right? I have to be more careful. Because I can't let anybody threaten me or my students or my organization because of something that I created. So now it's a whole new step of life. So something I have to learn. And something I'm getting coaching about Nito tomorrow. Before Nito goes on stage, him and I have a coaching session in my room to go over about these things. And he's gone through a lot of that. You know, Nito's the nicest man in the world, but he's taken a lot of hits throughout the years. Immigrant, this and that, and people thought he was crazy, even a high point. Nito's very good at telling you things on the surface, but for those of you who listen to the coaching, and sometimes I talk to him, he goes, JT, I have the same problem. He was telling me how he's frustrated and stuff like that, and it's good to hear because sometimes, the problem is Nito always showed me the positive of things. And I always thought, like, it's so easy for him, and now him and I are restarting our coaching session. Now, he's been coaching with Damien, for those of you who've been listening to the iPod. I'm now resuming my coaching sessions with Nito, and now I said, dude, I know everything you know. I know I need to know about how things affect you because that's how I can relate. Because now I just think you're Superman and there's no mistake. And if I don't have that, so he goes, man, I have the same problems you do. So now we've been talking about some of the problems, and now we can relate to some of the staff problems, business problems, deal problems, pressure problems, media problems, false rumors problems, all that stuff. And that's what I want to hear. So now I'm resuming my coaching with him. I was still coaching, but more in detail so that I could see. And then for you to see that I have problems too. Right? We all have problems, but sometimes the speakers have a way to make it seem like everything is rosy. I have problems just like everybody else, but it's how I solve the problem that makes a difference. Anybody else want to add to this wonderful topic of depressing conversation? I didn't think so. Oh, yes.
It seems to me like you're more behind the scenes and not always having to be in the spotlight all the time.
That is correct, which also has created some problems, right? That's also created some sense of problems as well. But yeah, and also too, for example, just with my CEO, I hated my management staff for years. Like, I hated them. Like, you understand? Like, they just didn't work as hard. Damien is the first one where I can tell Damien one thing one time, and I know things are being taken care of. They had a big mega partnering staff meeting, and every other mega partner, I've had to be there, watch any details. They've taken care of everything. I don't even have to be there. So, you know? In fact, Damien says, you know, don't come in the office. Stay away. Stay at home. Don't go home. You know what I mean? Go to Africa. Now he saw how happy I was in Africa, so suddenly he now wants to. He was twice in Africa. Oh, you need me. We can have meetings. We haven't had one meeting since I've been in Africa with him. But that's because I trust him, and he cares, and he thinks like I do, and he has the same level of, his interest is to make the students successful first, and make the organization successful as a result of that. And he's coachable. He got coached by Nito. And that's been a huge pressure off of me because I have the right people. So that's kind of been the big thing. You're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. And he's very honorable. He's very integral. You know what I mean? I've dropped money right in front of him, see if we'd pick it up and keep it. And every time he goes, JT, you dropped money. I'm like, how would you know? Because you're the only one with $100 bills here. I'm like, how do you figure? And he goes, because you don't pay a lot. But he's not in the room because every time I give him a compliment after mega partnering, he wants to renegotiate. So for the purpose of this mega partnering, he's doing a horrible job. Keep his pay. But, you know, he makes a lot of money, and he makes a lot of money, but he's paid on results. And that's kind of one of the things. So if it wasn't for him, a lot of this stuff wouldn't be possible. So now he's like, he wants me to focus on what I do best, and he focuses on what he does best. So that's been a great relationship, and I'm very blessed to have him. Human change is most challenging, but your brain changes constantly. So your brain always changes. That's just part of it, right? But human change is hard, because in order for people to accept that there's change, they have to accept that there's wrong, and most people don't want to be wrong. So that's kind of why human change is very important. People don't like to change. So some people like being comfortable. Some people don't want to come to events. Some people don't want to come here, and they don't want to go there. So that's very, very interesting in the component of that. Rule 35, every 3 to 4 months, reevaluate what you're doing. Reinvent yourself every 6 months to a year. Madonna redid it. Cher did it. In a way, Arnold did it. He went from bodybuilding to real estate investor to governor to now doing all kinds of charity, big projects. So you always have to reinvent yourself. I've reinvented myself. I started off in real estate. I've expanded in a whole slew of companies. Some of the topics of conversations here are, mega partnering has evolved from just people from Canada and the United States to now people from all over the world. 37 different countries are represented at mega partnering. That's pretty cool. We got people coming from Afghanistan. Fine opium, fine. They're not here, so that's how I can say that. But great people. We have people coming from Finland, Slovakia, Russia, Dubai, UK, Poland. I mean, it's amazing that people come in there. And your point is that it doesn't mean that they're not international, that you can't network with them, right? So Rule 36, everything is a conceptual opportunity. There's opportunity in every relationship, every deal, no matter what. Good deals don't come to you, make them good deals. So conceptually, find a way. Look at this relationship. Okay, he's not in my industry, but how can we do business? Who does he know? This deal is not the right deal for me, but can I still profit from it? Can I still sell it to somebody else? Rather than saying, this is not for me, I'm not doing this, right? Rule 37, coaching works. How to use coaching. Coaching is done in a continuum. And how I use coaching. So here's how to use coaching. For those of you in real estate, never buy a real estate deal without checking with your coach. Okay? So if you have gone on a real estate buy, and I'm like, why would you buy that? And I'm like, I don't know, I just had a good gut feeling. That's why your coaches are there. Any big business decision, don't be afraid to send your coach. And when you do, short and sweet, not just a long paragraph with the whole story, short and sweet. So coaching is done in a continuum. It's not just a one-year program. I've had Nito for over 3 years. I've had George Ross for 4 years. I've had my coach Mark for almost 5 years now. Coaching is in a continuum. You always continue. You don't stop. Coaching is like breathing. If you stop breathing, you will die. Most people are like, well, I haven't implemented yet, or I haven't seen the result. You know why you haven't seen the result? If you haven't seen the result, it's not that coaching's fault. It's you haven't implemented enough. Right? I once had someone I was working with who was shadowing me, and he was very successful. Well, he was a nice person. I just didn't understand why he wasn't getting involved. So I had him follow me for 3 days straight. And after 3 days, you know what I realized his problem was? He wasn't implementing enough ideas. He was taking one idea and overanalyzing, and not enough things were getting done. The more things you do, right, the 5 things you do. If you do 5 innovative things a month, you're going to skyrocket your business. Also, lack of strategic thinking. It's often the people who think that they're the busiest, that they're the least busiest, okay? How I use coaching. I don't make any business decision without checking with my coach first. I've made 3 big, major mistakes in my business career, one of which was this year, one of which was that London thing. All of them arise because of one thing. I didn't check with my coach. And all of them had said, I told you so. Rightfully so. Because I thought I knew it all, my pride got in the way, who knows, right? Rule 38, always be disruptive no matter what. You talk Michael Eisner, former CEO of Disney at the last mega partnering, disruption. Disruption advances. Don't settle for the status quo. Learn, right? Success is contagious. Success attracts other successful people. Success attracts from other businesses, attracts success to yours. Take a look at what Starbucks and the Ritz-Carlton and companies like Zappos are doing in your business. Success is contagious. Success attracts success. Remember that. Rule 39. To become successful, you must become uncomfortable. We talked about that. Whoa. I guess our slide guy must have been having fun. I didn't pick that slide for the record. It was Damian Elston, E-L. 40, never take no for an answer. Never take no for an answer. Right? 39 is to become successful, you have to become comfortable. 40, never take no for an answer. 42, always add value first. Always, always, always add value first, without expecting anything. Something, Malcolm, that you've done to me, and many of you here have done to me, they've given and they've never asked me. And when you do that, when you give someone that's more successful than you, they will always reciprocate 100 times more. Always reciprocate. It's one thing South Africans and Africans do very well. In my experience, they always give so much more because that's kind of why they've been brought up. And then they actually don't expect anything back. And when you give anything back, they're blown away. It's been wonderful. I hope you know, for those of you here at Mega Partnering that are not from Africa, any of you who decide to go to Mega Partnering Africa, you get to go at no charge. Your status will be matched. In Africa to where you are here. So if you're founders here, you're founders there. If you're chairman, you're a chairman there. And so it's a good opportunity for you to hedge your bets and also for you to show people that, hey, listen, I'm global now, you know. And then we're trying to arrange a safari. So when you see the people here from South Africa, talk to them. What kind of opportunities would there be for you and what you do? And you never know. I never thought we'd be in South Africa and Africa. And now I think I'm going to Nigeria now in September. I'm meeting the president of Nigeria. And it's just there's a lot of interesting things that are happening. So 42, dreams are things you wish. Vision is something you build. Dreamers talk about it. Visions build it. That's probably one of the most important things. Dreams are things you wish. Vision is something you build. And that's what Mega Partnering here is. That's what Mega Partnering is here. It's about building a vision. And that's what this is all about. It's about building something. And that's what Mega Partnering is about.